Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 102.5, 106.3, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live, thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. No playoff football game to talk about around here. And in fairness to the coaches, who I'm about to scream about for the next 4 hours, in fairness to the owner, who I'm probably about to scream about for the next 4 hours, in fairness to everybody, the Titans, I thought, played their butts off on Saturday night. I thought the Titans were going to win the game. I thought the Titans were going to win the game until the moment of truth when Josh Dobbs fumbled the football, and that was, in fact, a fumble for everybody out there. And I still, deep down inside, I harbor a ton of resentment towards the Jacksonville Jaguars being in the playoffs, and especially all of the talk that surrounds Trevor Lawrence about, oh, Trevor Lawrence is ascending. Trevor Lawrence is average. Joe Burrow last year, that's ascension. Trevor Lawrence, average. But Jacksonville's in the playoffs, and the narrative surrounding them is that they've got everything figured out, and they're headed right to the top, and we'll all have to watch them play the Chargers in primetime this weekend. Ian is here today. Hello, Ian. How are you?
What up, what up?
I'm outstanding. Now, I do want to say, first and foremost, that we're thinking about our friend Pete Weber, who had the surgery. The Predators put it out over the weekend. It is a form of brain surgery, though it is rather common, of what Pete Weber had. But I heard earlier today an update that everything went well. It was 9 a.m. this morning that Pete went and had the procedure done. And so I heard everything went well with Pete, and we're thinking about Pete, and we hope that Pete Weber is back on the mic very, very soon. All right, Mike Vrabel had a press conference today, and I thought this was a biggie because right now I have never seen the organization more lost probably since Jeff Fisher's last year. That was the Vince Young pads in the stands. That was Bud Adams chiming in every 5 minutes when he was upset. And that team fell apart at the end of the year just like this team fell apart at the end of the year. And finally, Bud Adams said enough, and Vince Young was gone, and Jeff Fisher was gone, and on they went. That is what I feel right now. Maybe the end of the 2013 season when the ownership had changed over, Bud had passed away, Tommy Smith was in charge, and they told Mike Munchak he could return, but they were going to change some of his coaches. You know, that organization was somewhat lost, and they were the worst team in the league the next 2 years. So Vrabel gets to the podium, and like I said, I think this is a biggie because I don't know where this organization is going to go. The way the NFL works is it usually tells you how you're going to go. It either tells you, hey, Indianapolis, you stink. You need a new quarterback. Hey, Houston, Davis Mills is not the guy. Arizona, you got to change something. Or it rewards you for your faith. So, like we're saying with Jacksonville, hey, you hired a new coach, you signed some guys, you got a young quarterback, your trajectory, you're running it back next year. You lose to the Chargers on Saturday, you're not firing the coach, you're not rebuilding, you're not bringing in a new quarterback. So the league normally tells you. The results normally tell you what you are. And yet, the results are kind of up in the air for the Titans. They're not Indianapolis, who has no quarterback. They're not the Texans, who until yesterday were the worst team in the league. The Titans were right there. I mean, right there of making the playoffs. A freaky play, a good call by the Jacksonville defensive coach, and just right place, right time. Everything went bad on one play, and that's why you're not playing right now. That's it. That's the only reason why you're not playing. So the league is not telling you, hey, your team sucks. They're not telling you that. But you got to figure out where you're supposed to go, which is what made Mike Vrabel's press conference big today. Because I think a lot of people want to know, what's the future of the organization? And I asked him straight up, could we see a rebuild with this team?
This organization would go the path of rebuilding from the bottom up as opposed to running it back with the group that you guys have had over the last couple of years with the changes?
Well, I mean, I think that there's a number of things that you could do. We could, there's a lot of, that's those questions that you ask every year. as you construct a roster, as you do a lot of different things. And our goals will never change. Our goal is to have a championship football team. Have fallen short, of that. But we still know what wins. We still know, and we're going to win. But again, there's decisions that will be made throughout the season, throughout the off season, and start and all those things that everybody's concerned about.
Question: are you going to be rebuilding? The one word he didn't say: no. Mike Vrabel did not rule out the possibility of rebuilding. I don't know what the future of this organization is. I know what it would be if I was in charge, but I also know that the things that I want them to do, sometimes they don't do. I don't want them to rebuild, but that's what I want. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they look at this and say, you know what? The Henry, Tannehill, Byard, Simmons crew, they got us pretty far, but they got us as far as they could get, which was 11 points of an AFC title game that we were really only competitive in for a half. So now it's time to start over. I think that's foolish talk. I don't do those things in the NFL, but I don't know what they're going to do. And again, Vrabel talking in circles, roundabout way. Is there a chance this team could be rebuilding? Nobody would have asked that question last year, and he certainly would have said no. He didn't say no. What about Derrick Henry? The identity of the Titans, the star player of this era. I think he's the best player in the history of the Tennessee portion of this franchise. What about Derrick Henry? Are you going to stay Derrick Henry-centric? John Glennon asked Mike Vrabel.
Derrick Henry-centric on offense during your time, Mike, and a lot of success. Going forward, do you still envision that being kind of the main theme, or do you see it veering off at all in the future?
We'll have to see where things go in the offseason and see where we think is best for the football team and the identity of the football team and where everybody is and what those plans are. So I can't really answer things that are a few months away and the direction, but confident that we're going to be aligned. That the organization starts with alignment from Amy, to with myself, the general manager, the coaching staff, the players. That's what's important in the offseason, is making sure that those things are in place.
Are you going to rebuild? He didn't say no. Are you going to stay Derrick Henry-centric? He didn't say yes. I have no idea where this team is headed. I have no idea what Amy Adams-Strunk wants. I have no idea if Amy Adams-Strunk knows what she's doing. I don't know what Mike Vrabel expects is going to happen next. Kept talking about the new GM. Amy Adams-Strunk wrote that it's going to be a collaborative process, and she kept saying that over and over and over again, and that they'll both report to her. And that sounds good. The idea of we're both going to report to the owner. But when you have processes like that, you get Stephen Ross in Miami. You get David Tepper in Carolina. Do you want to be Carolina? Or do you want to be a team like San Francisco where Kyle Shanahan has it in his contract? I have the final say. Pete Carroll has the final say in Seattle. Andy Reid has the final say in Kansas City. Do you want to be that way? Where all of a sudden it's, the owner's over here and we don't know what she wants. And so either Mike Vrabel is a great poker player and he answered every question today somewhat respectfully, but didn't really reveal anything, or just like me, who has no idea where this franchise is headed, maybe Vrabel doesn't know either. And I find it incredibly hard to believe that the head coach of the football team, who is paid millions of dollars to do it, wouldn't know what the future holds for the franchise. Wouldn't know if, hey, let's look quarterback in this year's draft. Let's try to recruit Tom Brady. Let's go with Derek Carr. Let's run it back with Tannehill. He doesn't know. He did not commit to Derrick Henry, the identity of the team. I always hear people talk about championship windows. and our window was open, and then this happened, and our window was closed. And it's very easy over time to look back at a championship run or kind of an era of competitiveness and say, okay, this is when the window closed. It's easy to do that 15 years after the fact. It's really hard in the moment to say, this is now when the window closes. It's really hard to do that. But if they're not sure if they're going to be a Derrick Henry-centric team, and they're not sure if they're going to rebuild, then I have no idea what the hell they're thinking about. I was stunned when they fired John Robinson, and I haven't seen anything from the organization that gives me an idea that they have a clue as to what's going on around here or where this program should go. I don't even think they know how to answer the most important questions that this operation will have going forward. What's the power structure going to be around here? Who's the quarterback going to be? What system is going to be run on offense? And Mike Vrabel can sit there all he wants and say, oh, well, those are off-season things we'll have to think about, and we'll have to decide, and we'll have to, not what kind of system you want to run. I don't know if you saw this. The Cleveland Browns got permission to interview Gerard Mayo, the Patriots linebacker coach, to be their defensive coordinator. Other teams are hiring coaches. So decisions have already been made. Indianapolis made a bunch of their decisions months ago. So this idea of, I don't know. Boy, I hope he's lying. Boy, I hope. I hope they know where they're headed. But I don't know where they're headed. I have no idea what's next for this organization. Again, normally the league tells you what you have to do. The way you play tells you what you need to do. And the Titans are in the definition of limbo. And we probably won't know for months what they actually think of this football team. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Vrabel was incredibly non-committal when it came to Henry. He was oddly, somewhat, a little bit committal to Tannehill, but what he said also brought up a, huh? We'll get to that coming up. 615-737-1025, your reaction. Again, are you going to rebuild? He didn't say no. Are you still going to be a Derrick Henry-centric team? He didn't say yes. I have no idea what's next for this organization. 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
It's a new year and a new game. Robbie and Rexroad from 6 to 9.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or to tell you to leave the room. Both would be appropriate.
Chase and Michelle from 9 to 11.
Did you look at what the other teams are doing?
That's a player I want to keep an eye on.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace from 11 to 2.
You're the best running back in the league.
That's one you really need to win.
This is the way we were built. And Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman from 2 to 6.
Really the greatest player in the history of the team.
It's your new weekday lineup now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
So many choices. Be careful. She is dangerously seductive. Tastes too good to be whiskey. Oil Fire Whiskey is now in Tennessee. If they don't have it, ask them to get it or go somewhere else. Oil Fire. There is nothing quite like it.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
When Smashville wants to rock. We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Hey Nashville, it's Chef Philip at Bar Lines at the Omni Hotel. Come try our new Nashville hot fish and chips. Beer battered black cod served over crispy fries or tots with Omni's own Nashville hot season blend. Served with chipotle slaw and malt vinegar tartar sauce.
Attending an event downtown? Dine at Bar Lines in the Omni Nashville Hotel.
312 Pizza Company is the official sponsor and location of Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Looking for a career with purpose or have that passion for youth development? Boys and Girls Clubs of Middle Tennessee provides a safe place where youth gain the tools to learn, lead, and reach their full potential. And that starts with you, offering competitive pay and free after-school care for employees. Learn more at bgcmt.org.
Want to weigh in on the conversation?
It's a brain booster.
Slide into our DMs. Or just text or call at 615-737-1025. Our phone line is driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Are you optimistic that Ryan will be your starting quarterback next year?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of guys here that are under contract. We have a lot of guys that want Ryan to get as healthy as he possibly can, and then go and be our quarterback and figure out things that are going to help us win. And then that's the case for a lot of guys. A lot of guys are that are under contract that finish the season not out there. So let's get everybody healthy and let's see where everybody's at, and then we can make some decisions.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard that. Terry McCormick asked the question to Mike Vrabel, are you optimistic Tannehill will be the quarterback next year? And this is the thing that I've tried to preach to people. I actually talked to Caroline about this last night. I said with Vrabel, you have to ask him directly. You give Vrabel a little tiny inch, Vrabel will take the mile. Are you optimistic? Oh, he's under contract and we got to get guys healthy around here. You got to pin him down. You got to ask him. So I did. Because, again, I think one of the biggest questions is who's your quarterback next year? Or what are you going to do with the quarterback you have? So when Vrabel says, we had a bunch of guys that got hurt, and so let's get Tannehill healthy and then let's see where he is from there. What? That does not make any sense. It's a sprained ankle. He'll be okay in 8 months. So I asked Vrabel, so does that mean that you don't think Tannehill is going to be your starter?
So you don't feel comfortable right now committing to Ryan as the starter for next year?
Well, I mean, he's our starting quarterback. If he was healthy, he's our starting quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's all I can tell you. And right now, there's a lot of guys that aren't healthy and that didn't finish the game. I mean, I think we're going to talk a lot of hypotheticals 2 days after our last game. So, happy to talk a lot about things that I can answer, but I can't answer things that, are in the future.
Who's buying that? Who is buying the idea that Mike Vrabel is going to say, our season just ended 2 days ago. Why would I be thinking about who my quarterback is going to be next year? Because it's the most important decision for almost every team in the league. And I thought what Vrabel said was clever, using a sprained ankle as an excuse to not 100% commit to Tannehill. And I'll explain why in a second, why I think Vrabel did what he did. But the number one thought is Vrabel looked for an excuse to not commit to Tannehill, and his excuse is the sprained ankle. And secondly, and maybe even more eye-opening to me, is it seems like he is a lot more committed to Ryan Tannehill than he is to Derrick Henry. Now, how many of you would have seen that coming? That he would be more committed to Ryan Tannehill than Derrick Henry. Again, he was asked about being more Derrick Henry-centric again next year. We'll have to see where the offseason goes, and we can't make those kind of decisions yet because we don't know, and we'll have to see. And, I asked him, so you're not willing to commit to Tannehill as your starter next year? Well, I mean, he's hurt, but if he's not hurt, he's our starting quarterback. But he used the word was. Now, here's why Vrabel said what he said. Because Mike Vrabel knows the answer to that question that I asked him, so you're not willing to commit today to Ryan Tannehill being your starting quarterback, there is no answer out there that does not pin him in a corner. I'll give Vrabel credit because that answer kind of sounded like he was supportive of Tannehill, but it also kind of sounded non-committal at the end of we'll have to see, get him healthy, and go from there. Again, it's a sprained ankle. He'll be okay. Ryan Tannehill has a stomach bug. I just don't know if this means that he'll be able to play 9 months from now. But here's why I think Vrabel did this. Number one, if Mike Vrabel were to say, we're not committing to anything right now, which is the path a lot of coaches choose to go. If Vrabel were to say, when I ask, so are you not committing to Ryan Tannehill? If he were to say, hey, it is January right now, we do not play for another 9 months, we're not committed to anything right now, then all of a sudden all the alarm bells go off. Oh, Mike Vrabel is not committed to Tannehill. And then here comes the Derek Carr talk. Here comes the Brady talk. Here comes the drafting a quarterback talk. Here comes all of it, which Vrabel doesn't care about. He doesn't care if Colin Cowherd on Fox starts talking about, Mike Vrabel's not committed. But he does care that Ryan Tannehill would hear that. And that Ryan Tannehill would view that as, you don't believe in me. And I think we've noticed with Tannehill, he can be a little sensitive. Not like Aaron Rodgers, where he becomes, all of a sudden, he turns around and just becomes passive-aggressive about everything. But that sometimes Tannehill can get his feelings a little bit. And I don't think Vrabel wants to go down that road. So he says, if he's healthy, he's our starting quarterback. But he said was. The other thing Mike Vrabel has to think about here is there is either a legitimate GM search that's going on or an illegitimate GM search that's going on. And if it's a legitimate GM search, Mike Vrabel can't come out today and say Ryan Tannehill's the starting quarterback next week. Because if he does, the new GM might say, well, I thought that we were going to talk these things out. I'm going to show up to be the general manager of the team and the head coach is already telling me who the quarterback is? So Vrabel doesn't want to pin him there. If it's an illegitimate search, then I think Vrabel doesn't want to tip anybody off ahead of the process. The Titans are already dealing with one accusation that they have had an illegitimate process in hiring a high-level position when Mike Mularkey went on a podcast a couple years ago and said that he knew that they were interviewing Ray Horton and that he wasn't going to get the job. And so the last thing the Titans need is another one of those where all of a sudden they're bringing in, is it Ran Carthon who they're bringing in?
Sounds right.
Okay, Ran Carthon, the old running back, he's with the 49ers now. He is he's an assistant general manager-ish type position, and they're interviewing him, and he is of color. And the last thing the Titans want to do is bring in somebody for a sham interview and then get caught doing it. So I understand why Vrabel had to not completely commit to Tannehill. I also think that he wanted to completely not commit to Tannehill because it does give him a little wiggle room. But the words right there were very confusing. He kind of commits to Tannehill. But as far as the word commitment is concerned, there is no kind of. And this goes back to what's next for the organization. I know what's next for Indianapolis. I know what's next for Houston. And I know what's next for Jacksonville, even if they lose by 30 on Saturday. I know exactly what's next for all of them. I know what's next for Chicago. I know what's next for San Francisco. I know what's next for Minnesota. Even Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, who loves to make it all about him. Aaron Rodgers doesn't know if he's going to retire or not. And we've already been down this road. But Green Bay knows exactly what they're going to do if Aaron Rodgers does retire. The Titans, it's like, I have no idea what they're going to do. People ask me as if I have some kind of insight about what this team's going to do. I'm like, the things you hear that come out of their mouths is pretty much most of what I hear. And here's the coach. Can't commit to rebuilding. Can't commit to Derek. Can't commit to the quarterback. Can't commit to anything. And that is concerning. But the Tannehill thing, the wording of the Tannehill, that was meant for one person. Tannehill. Hey, I still believe in you. I still believe in you. We just have to make sure you're healthy. With that really massive sprained ankle you suffered. When's the last time somebody had a career ended by a sprained ankle? Never. So, Tannehill, by the way, said he'd love to be back, and he thinks he still has good years left in him, and that, it was just I think he said that he tore some ligaments. That's what a sprained ankle is. So, it's a sprained ankle. 615-737-1025 is the phone number, 615-737-1025. The one thing I am legitimately shocked by, and again, going back to the they don't know, I don't know, they should know, I was stunned by a Black Monday decision the Titans have not made. We'll get to that coming up next, and then we're to your phones. 615-737-1025 here on Stillman & Company, 615-737-1025. Join 1025-1063 The Game this Wednesday night at Nobles, located at 974 Main Street in East Nashville, for a Preds away game watch party as the Preds take on the Toronto Maple Leafs at 6:30. Come watch the game and get some Preds gear, and also enter to win tickets to an upcoming Preds home game. Wednesday night specials include 2-for-1 drafts, Wells and wine, as well as Bud Light buckets for $15.
Tonight.
And that shot, what a stop there by UC Saros.
Your Nashville Predators continue their road trip against the Ottawa Senators. Pre-game at 5:30. Face-off at 6:30 on your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Attention all fire and safety line experts. Middle Tennessee's fastest growing fire protection company is looking for experienced service technicians, designers, and sprinkler system experts like you. Tired of working for a large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett Fire Protection is owned and operated by Nashville natives and wants to invite you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced sprinkler experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we will also provide you with the top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to jarrettfire.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
The Game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Be a part of the conversation. Call or text the Game at 615-737-1025.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Join us for the Tuesday edition of Robbie and Rex Road. Predators GM David Poyle joining the show at 8:30, and we'll continue to recap the Titans' loss to Jacksonville and what it means for this offseason. Tuesday at 6 o'clock, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
Hey, Nashville, this is Paul Feinbaum, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5, The Game.
Mike, are you bringing Todd back as the offensive coordinator?
You know, our offensive coordinator and Todd, that'll be part of the conversations, and that'll be part of my evaluation, this week as it relates to the football team.
Any changes been made yet, Mike, on the coaching staff?
No, not yet. Just still, again, working through conversations with the players and having some meetings, and, I'll meet with the coaches and, continue that process.
That was Mike Vrabel today. And again, it was funny because some of the questions early on were about, how do you evaluate the coaches and how important is loyalty on the coach? And finally, I was just like, are you bringing Todd back? No ambiguity. Are you bringing Todd back? Hasn't made a decision yet. Asked if any of the coaches on the coaching staff, if there are going to be changes. Hasn't made a decision yet. Everything else just words. Vrabel has not effectively fired Todd Downing as of now. Now, let me say this. I think Mike Vrabel's going to fire Todd Downing. I thought, and I tweeted it out this morning, if you watch the TV broadcast of the game on Saturday, after Josh Dobbs fumbled the ball at the end of the game and then got the ball back and threw the fourth down check down to Hassan Haskins, which, what the hell was that? But when Josh Dobbs threw the check down and they didn't make it and they lost the game and Jacksonville celebrated and all of that, when that transpired, they showed Dobbs on the bench. And as they showed Dobbs on the bench, Downing was right there next to him, giving him a pat right there on the thigh, like, hey, you played a good game, kid. Really proud of you. And Dobbs was just kind of staring off into space. And if you look at Downing's eyes, they're kind of glazed. They're kind of glazed over. He knew. He knew. I actually thought for the most part Todd Downing called a good game. I really did. Against Jacksonville, I thought it was a good game plan. I thought he called a good game. I thought Dobbs executed it. Whatever happened in the second half this season and that game, I'll never understand. I thought he called a good game Saturday. I thought the lateral across the field was stupid. But for the most part, I thought he called a good game. And yet, as they show him on the sidelines with his 30th ranked offense, 3 years as an offensive coordinator, 3 years the offense has not just taken a modest step back in league rankings, but a significant step back. I'm like, he's done. And I saw the look in his eyes. And I saw that look, and I'm like, he knows he's done. But again, as of earlier today, Mike Vrabel will not say that Todd Downing is out. Now, here's the other thing about Todd Downing and Mike Vrabel. I think deep down inside, Vrabel doesn't want to fire Todd Downing. I don't know why. Same with Craig Ackerman, the special teams coach. Gave up a massive return on Saturday night to Agnew. One thing that Mike Vrabel said absolutely positively could not happen on his coach's TV show, and yet there's Craig Ackerman's special teams right there performing special as they always do under Craig. But I say this because there's something about the arrogance of Vrabel, that he's some natural contrarian who, everybody tells me I need to fire my coordinator. I'll show them. But I think this is too much for him to even take on. The arrogance of Mike Vrabel. It's not Shane Bowen's fault our defense was terrible in 2020. I think that there's too much real estate right now that he would lose in investing in another season of Todd Downing. I think Mike Vrabel is the most popular person in Nashville sports. I think he is more popular than Derrick Henry. I think he is more popular than anybody with any of these colleges right now. I think he's the most popular guy. I think the fans love him. If it came out today that the Titans were moving off of Derrick Henry, I already know that 90% of your phone calls the next day and your text messages would be, well, Derrick was a great Titan and I love him, but it's time for us to move in another direction. He's too old. He's too hurt. He fumbles the ball to whatever you want. If you found out Mike Vrabel wasn't coming back, there would be screams. But that doesn't last forever, that level of popularity. And I believe that if Mike Vrabel brought back Todd Downing, he would burn up the currency that he's earned. And a lot of coaches in the NFL are usually pretty wise to not burn up more currency after they just lost 7 games in a row. The good part about the 7-game winning streak at the end of the season is that there are 2 scapegoats that don't involve Mike Vrabel. One is John Robinson, the other are all the injuries. But you bring Todd Downing back, and I don't care how many players get hurt next year, nobody is giving you the benefit of the doubt. So, I mean, I know that Vrabel, today, we haven't decided, we're not sure, we'll figure it out. You can't do that in the NFL because the second that all these teams that have fired their coaches start hiring head coaches, and that will happen over the next week, offensive coordinators start getting hired too. Running back coaches, offensive line coaches, quarterback coaches, all those guys start getting hired too. And so if you're going to bring in a new coordinator, you may end up bringing in a new system. And if you do that, you need new positional coaches. If you decide that Keith Carter didn't get it done this year as your offensive line coach, or Pat O'Hara didn't get it done as your quarterback's coach, good luck going out and getting a coordinator when you hire the quarterback coach and your coordinator being okay with it. Now, the Titans do have the luxury of having somebody in the building that has experience calling plays, but he may be on the list for some of these teams that need to fix their offensive coordinator position. The New England Patriots need an offensive coordinator. They need somebody with offensive experience. They're not going to do what they did last year. They could call you and interview Tim Kelly. And we don't even know what the contract situation of those assistant coaches are. So Vrabel needs to hurry up and fire Todd Downing. But I think the anxiety that many of you, I believe, probably had when hearing that Vrabel today was not willing to commit to firing Todd Downing, I wouldn't worry about that. Todd Downing's going to get fired. Just look at his eyes at the end of the Jacksonville game, and he's going to be fired. And I hate that. I hate that it's gotten to this point that the entire city is actively rooting for a coach to get fired. But it's the 30th ranked offense in the league. They're terrible. And I know the line stunk. I know. Everybody's got excuses. And I'm sure that Todd believes them and some people believe them and things like that. 615-737-1025. Your phones are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Text her to the text line. Boy, I tell you, I wish I could be as optimistic as all of you are sometimes. Says, number 1, Josh Dobbs did not fumble that play in the fourth quarter. His arm was directing the ball forward before it was stripped. Even if it was close enough to look at for more than 2 seconds. I disagree. I think you very clearly see the ball coming out of the hand and the arm is not going forward. I think it was pretty obvious. I think it was a fumble. I think it was the right call. Number 2, though, this is the more important part. We have a solid foundation on defense to build on for next season, which I agree with. There are a lot of questions to answer in the offseason regarding Downing, the offensive line, and Tannehill. I trust Amy Adams Strunk to make the right decision at GM to mold us into contenders soon. If not AFC South winners next year, we will be just fine. What gives you that faith in Amy Adams Strunk? I like Amy Adams Strunk. I do. And up until December of this past year, I thought she was not a good owner, a great owner. I thought she was one of the best owners in the NFL. Until she nuked the season at the beginning of December because she was mad that A.J. Brown went off in the Philadelphia game. Just nuked the season. It's funny, too, because I said after they lost the first Jags game, with that reaction to the firing of John Robinson, I said the season was over. And somebody, got a little pushback. Somebody said to me, "Oh, you're going to start doing draft pick coverage now?" Team didn't win a game after she made that decision. Amy Adams Strunk, I hate to break it to you, she does not have my full confidence right now in figuring this out. Not with what she just did to this season. Texter to the text line says, what are the chances of Tim Kelly becoming the new offensive coordinator? I have no idea. I have no idea what this organization is thinking. I have no idea if they think they need to rebuild. I have no idea if they think they need to run it back. I have no idea if they want a new offensive system. Do they want to go away from the Shanahan system? Do they want something, Andy Reid-like? Do they want to go straight RPO game? If they think Malik can play quarterback, and I don't, but if they do, do you build up the RPO game, try to do something? I don't know. I have no idea. And boy, I tell you, when I look at this team, I feel like a lot of people are either, just blow it up, or, we'll be right there next year. And I'm like, I don't think they won't even commit to the running back. They won't commit to the best player over the last 5 or 6 years. There's no way to know at this point what direction they're going to go in. Chris in Nashville, I think this is a smart tweet. Jared, I think this team needs to add 5 legit starters for next season. 2 offensive linemen, 1 linebacker, 1 receiver, and a corner. You plug in those 5 with the team, we win the division with ease. It's not that simple. The other teams are going to try to get better too. The other teams are going to try to get smarter. They may fail massively. They may get a little bit better. You never know. I mean, every season is so different. If this were me, I do agree, though, with the terms of that, the tone of that text. Because if it were me, I'm running it back with Tannehill and Henry and Byard and Simmons and that group. And I'm giving it one more crack. If it were me. But I don't know what they're going to do. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Mike Vrabel with the most revealing answer today about his own evaluation of himself. Boy, was it so Vrabel. We'll get to it coming up next. Stillman & Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Want the latest on college football and Nashville sports?
He looks like 1,000 quarterbacks I've seen in a college game.
Join Outkick 360's Chad Withrow every Friday at 5 with Stillman & Company.
The coaching staff kept him and got rid of the other guy.
He'll bring opinions and charisma for a full half hour every week.
If he's so great in the locker room, then give him a coaching gig.
Chad Withrow is presented by Two Rivers Ford. Custom order your new Ford from Two Rivers Ford on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
For the love of the climb, for the love of the fall, for the love of knowing your kids' laughter is the sweetest music there is, for the love of Tennessee. Travel safe. Brought to you by the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
The Electronic Express New Year's blowout sale is going on now. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop great deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
At the law office of Amanda J. Gentry, we are committed to defending your rights. Being arrested doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. Being served with custody paperwork doesn't have to be the worst day of your life. It may feel that way, but if you have Amanda J. Gentry representing you, you can feel confident that you're going to have the best quality representation in all of Middle Tennessee. Amanda J. Gentry goes wherever justice demands. 615-604-6263. AmandaJGentry.com.
312 Pizza Company is home to Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Start your day with a cup of Joe. Ugh, he's gonna think that's stupid.
Wait, what?
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexroad are Robbie and Rexroad. There, that sounds better.
Thank you so much.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman & Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When you're assessing
the coaching staff here, how much of it is based on practice, teaching, development, and how much of it is game execution?
Yeah, I think that there's, you got to teach, you got to develop, and you have to inspire the player. And I think, the play callers, have to be, efficient and be in rhythm and understand what we're trying to do as a team. That we want, to execute the game plan and what I feel like is the best way to win that particular game.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel talking about the coaching and the teaching, and I don't even know what the point of the question was, to be honest. But coaching and teaching, they're both important. Got it. So one time, I was really upset about something that was going on in my personal life. This was years ago. This was actually the day the Predators signed Matt Duchene. So it was whatever day that was, 2019. I think it was July 1st. And I said to Floyd during a break, I looked at him and I said, how do you, when you were in the NFL, and we all know that the NFL, go, 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 go pace. I said, how would you push something aside in your personal life that was bothering you to focus on whatever the task at hand was? And he looked at me and goes, I'd say, you feel bad now, lose 3 in a row and see how you feel then. And I got a good chuckle, but the point was well taken. Mike Vrabel lost 7 games in a row. And so Mike Vrabel was asked a question about his self-evaluation. And I want you to listen to the first part until Vrabel realizes the road that he's going down. Go ahead.
Mike, as you go about evaluating your coaching staff and your players and looking at what needs to change, how do you go about evaluating yourself as you kind of reflect on kind of what's been your first losing season? How do you kind of internally look at the job you've done?
I think when you work, the ability to play with 23 guys on a practice squad or from the street out of 48, you look at how competitive you are. Didn't do a good enough job. We lost too many
Pause
games.
it right there. So right there at the beginning, Mike, when you self-evaluate yourself this season, what do you make of it? And Vrabel starts by saying, well, we had, of our 48 active guys on Saturday, 23 didn't start with the team or were off the practice squad. By the way, who knows that number? Like, who literally counts it up, looks at the game day 48 and counts and says, hey, 23 guys of the game day 48 did not start the team in training camp. That means that somebody literally has to take the roster, the active roster from Saturday night, and go, let's see. Malik Willis, he was with us there, so he doesn't count. Josh Dobbs, that's 1. Jonathan Ward, 2. Julius Chestnut, he was on our practice squad, 3. Somebody literally had to get that stat for him. And so Vrabel starts off and he talks about his self-evaluation and he says, the fact that we had 23 out of 48 that came off the practice squad or were off the street, and then we look at how competitive we were, he thinks he did a great job this year. That's what that means. Then Vrabel realizes he's going down the path of, holy crap, I just lost 7 games in a row and I'm about to get up here and toot my own horn about how great of a coach I am. And so then he decides to make it more about we than me.
Didn't do a good enough job. We lost too many games. I think that those things will come. I think that self-reflection, nobody would evaluate that they did a good enough job because we didn't win. How I try to lead and the connection that I make with the players, and ultimately you're only defined by one thing, and that's whether you win or not. So short answer is that it wasn't good enough.
Okay, so he realizes the road he's going down. Like, Mike Vrabel realizes that he is basically tooting his own horn after losing 7 games in a row. And he realizes that and then just stops and just says, well, it wasn't good enough. We didn't win enough games. Wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough because we didn't win enough games. Yet he knows that 23 players that played on Saturday night came off the street or were off the practice squad. Come on now. That is the most revealing thing Mike Vrabel said today about Mike Vrabel. And that is that Mike Vrabel thinks Mike Vrabel did a great job. Just ask Mike Vrabel. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. And, I mean, I didn't think Vrabel did a terrible job this season. I certainly didn't think Vrabel did a great job this season. But I didn't think Vrabel did a terrible job. But the idea of Vrabel, I love it. I love the fact that no matter how much he preaches we, and he talks about not pointing fingers, and he talks about it not being just about one guy, and all the things that Mike Vrabel says, all the canned lines when things are going well, that Mike Vrabel, deep down in the back of his mind, has researched how many guys they were competitive with from off the street. Congratulations, Mike. It's like he did research to prove to himself that he's a good coach, which I think he's a good coach. But I thought that was very telling. He showed us a lot of how he perceives himself after that. We don't talk about taking Derrick Henry off the field on 3rd and 2 against the Chargers, and if that was a bad idea. We don't talk about the Malik Willis experiment, having a backup quarterback who can't throw and putting him out there. Cost you the Chiefs game this year. Maybe it's a Robinson thing. Maybe you were banging on Robinson's door saying, please get me a backup quarterback who can throw. But it's on your ledger. There's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda out there. I didn't think Vrabel did a great job, but clearly Vrabel thinks that he was doing a great job. Kevin texts in and says, this team wasn't going to win another game anyway. Anyone who looked at the schedule after Green Bay knew we probably weren't going to win another game. You didn't think you'd beat Jacksonville? You didn't think you'd beat the Texans? You didn't think you'd win those games? The D-line had been broken. They were hanging on by a thread, especially after Jacksonville became evident that we weren't good enough to win another game. You mean the Jacksonville game where the owner fired the general manager on Tuesday before you went out there and you had to play on Sunday? If anything, and I know I'm going to get pushback on this. As far as the Amy Adams Strunk thing, the firing John Robinson, what I thought was the definition of a distraction in a league where they say things like, oh, no distractions. We can't do distractions on this team and this franchise. And then the owner got mad about A.J. Brown going off against the Eagles and fired the general manager on Tuesday. And they got smoked by Jacksonville. And I thought, if anything, the fact that they were as competitive as they were on Saturday night with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, I think that was pretty revealing of how much that John Robinson thing screwed with them. Because if they had played that game at home on Saturday night, they'd probably win. And so they get blown out at home against Jacksonville when Jacksonville had no confidence and had just gotten blown out by Detroit. And instead, Jacksonville wins all these games in a row, and the Titans have no confidence, losing 6 in a row with a backup quarterback, and they played them tougher the second time because they spent the whole week distracted. What should have been talk about a 2-game losing streak ended up being talk for an entire week about the general manager. And the owner did that. Texter into the text line says, Jared, have you considered the possibility that we might not know the whole story from what was going on between John Robinson and the Titans? Well, if they got something they want to correct the record on, they've had enough time. But everybody thought, because it was so crazy that they did what they did. And now that we saw what happened after they did it, I think we can say, boy, that was stupid. I hope when it comes to self-reflection that they can look in the mirror and say, probably a bad idea on our part. Wasn't it Hutton that said on the postgame show that Amy Adams Strunk called John Robinson and fired him? Fired him over the phone?
I did not hear that.
Chase told me that. That Hutton said that John Robinson was fired over the phone. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my goodness gracious. I mean, just, it was amazing. And I know. People are going to get mad because they want to hear, that everything's fine with the team and all that. I don't necessarily feel that way. But I do think it's funny that you look at how they competed with Jacksonville last week, and it's, if you had that focus in the game that you played them at home, you would have eliminated them and you'd be in the playoffs no matter what. Texter said, it was amazing that the Titans were 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from beating the Jags. I'm glad that Vrabel admitted we needed more team speed and analytics. Did Vrabel say they need more analytics today? I didn't hear that. I heard the team speed thing.
Have not heard that either.
I thought that was a crack at Robinson. The team speed thing. I don't think Vrabel's a big analytic guy.
I don't know if it's just the O-line or the lack of speed, but they legit did not throw the ball deep, but like 2 times the entire season.
Yeah. I mean, and the receivers suck, which you need to include in there too. I mean, I have been yelling for years that the Titans don't have enough speed. They really don't. And I remember a couple years ago during the draft when COVID had shut everything down, so there was nothing to talk about except for the draft. And I remember, like, we would go over guys 40 times. And it would be, well, that's important because a lot of people during the combine, you always have that underwear Olympics crowd that's like, they're not even wearing pads. How can we evaluate them? And old Floyder took things like the 40 time really seriously. And I kept remembering, like, they don't have anybody that can run. Like, draft somebody fast. The Duvernay, who's on the Ravens, their punt returner, kick returner, I was like, draft him. I don't know anything about him, but he's fast. He ran a fast 40. And so I agree with Vrabel. They need more speed. And boy, the speed on this team. I remember when Floyd told us that he would never draft anybody who didn't run a 40 because that's the only way that he can evaluate somebody's speed is by the 40-yard dash. And then John Robinson drafted Corey Davis, who didn't run any kind of 40 because he was injured for the combine and his pro day. And I remember being like, so how do you know if Corey Davis is any fast? He goes, just watch the tape and you can see him run. And I knew that was not a good answer. I knew that was a bad answer. You got to know how fast these guys are. People were comparing Traylon Burks to A.J. Brown. And I'm like, Traylon Burks was 4.55. A.J. Brown was 4.49. There's a difference there. 615-737-1025. We'll get back to your phone, 615-737-1025. Plus, Amy Adams Strunk sat down with Jim Wyatt, shocking, to talk about the general manager search. And what she said really doesn't sit well with me. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
You love the game.
The doors on the board. Touchdown at TSU.
We live the game.
Going up against that defense, he can make some plays and take that next step.
We are
A gunny performance.
Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead.
The Game. Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here. And football fans, call your own plays during the NFL playoffs with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because when you bet NFL same-game parlays from now through January 16th, all customers can get up to $100 in free bets, win or lose. All you have to do is place a total of $20 or more on NFL, SGP, or SGP Plus bets during the wild card round. The more you bet, the more you'll get back in free bets. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a larger payday. So, for instance, I like the Bengals to take down the Ravens. I like Joe Burrow over on touchdown passes, and I like Jamar Chase as an anytime touchdown scorer. But you take it any way you want to take it. Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, you can also get up to $100 in free bets, win or lose, when signing up with promo code ROB. Once again, that promo code is ROB. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. Bonus issued is not withdrawable free bets that expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet of $100. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
When Smashville wants to rock.
I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looking to the sky to save me, looking for a sign of life, 'cause it's too cold for you here.
We are Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Tennessee Titans saw their season come to an end on Saturday night after a 20-16 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans finished the season with a 7-10 record following 7 straight losses to conclude their campaign. The long off-season process for the team now begins. Head coach Mike Vrabel on the next steps for the team.
There'll be conversations here in the short term about, the general manager and where that goes, and then that person and I will have conversations. We'll have conversations with Amy, about the extent of the change that we have. I don't think that that's something that is going to happen necessarily overnight, but there's going to be, change.
The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 3 wins in a row as they are back in action tonight in Ottawa to take on the Sens. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30 right here on the Preds Radio Network. And the College Football National Championship game between Georgia and TCU is tonight. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators continue their road trip against the Ottawa Senators. Coverage begins at 5:30 on your home for Smashville. WPRT FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 1025 and 1063 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025, 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to Superbook Sports, live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Amy Adams Strunk did a sit-down with the Titans website. You guessed it. She did a sit-down with Jim Wyatt about the general manager situation that just happened to drop like an hour before Mike Vrabel met with the media. And the reason that they did that was because last time when Amy Adams Strunk didn't say anything and they fired the general manager, Vrabel was up there to answer questions that were really above his pay grade. And this time they figure, hey, let's put something out. And if we put it out at 9 a.m., Vrabel talks at 11:30, there won't be that many questions about the general manager because she will have answered them in this. Now, there's no chance of anything being out there that she doesn't want out there for sure, because again, she talked to the team. She didn't talk to the media, but she did some sort of a sit down. Now, here are the names that Ian Rappaport, who apparently gets all the Titans gossip, here's what Ian Rappaport has reported. The Titans are going to talk to the Bills' senior director of whatever, Malik Boyd, some guy named Glenn Cook with the Browns. Why are they getting people from the Browns? Ian Cunningham from the Bears.
They got Clowney.
Yeah. Ian Cunningham from the Bears. The Bears?
Not a great roster.
The Bears. Ryan Cowden, Monty Ossenfort, Adam Peters from the 49ers, and Rand Carthon from the 49ers. So there's a lot of names out there, of which they're going to interview, including 2 that are already internal, and we'll see where they go from there. But here are the quotes. Here are the things that she said. And again, I'm going to read you her quotes. And then I am going to tell you what this all actually means. I do think that we need to address the elephant in the room first. I think Amy Adams Strunk is a great person, and I think she's a good owner, and she means a lot to me for how she treated Floyd right before he died by putting him into the team's Ring of Honor and letting him know, and I will never forget that. And I will never not be grateful that she did that for Floyd. And it was the right thing to do. But the fact that she did that when she found out still means a lot to me, and I care about that. That being said, Amy Adams Strunk is the number one reason why your team is not playing football this weekend. It's just it. This team, regardless of what you thought of the roster at the time, this team was going in the right direction. They had lost one game to one of the best teams in the NFL by 4 points. They had gotten crushed on the road by a really good game against a player who had a vendetta to prove in a team that got on his back. They were fine. And she fired him. And we can sit there and say, oh, no, it wasn't there, it wasn't this, it wasn't that, Look, man, proof's in the pudding. You fired your general manager at 7-5. You didn't win a game the rest of the year. And I believe that first Jacksonville game, that gave the Jags life. That's why they're playing on Saturday night and you're not. And so we just have to call it how it is. This is the first time that she's gotten involved like this, and this is the first time that it's cost him. So in my opinion, she is 0-5 as general manager of the Titans. And that is how I will feel that she did this. Now, here's what she said about the general manager search. Quote, we've been working on it for at least 4 weeks now. I'd like to have a GM as soon as possible, but we're not going to rush the process just to get someone in as quickly as possible. The way we have it planned right now is we have 2 rounds. We're going to see where these interviews take us. 2 rounds? What is this, American Idol? Does he make it through to Hollywood? Simon Cowell weighs in next. Amy Adams Strunk continues to say, quote, we've cast a wide net. We're going to interview just as many people as we need to. I have a lot of people I want to interview, so it's going to be pretty extensive. And apparently there's a committee of her, Kenneth Adams, Burke Nihill, team president and CEO, senior VP of Business Affairs and Chief Legal Officer Adolfo Birch III, Senior Vice President and General Counsel and Chief of Staff Dan Worley will all be involved in the interviews. So it's going to be Amy, her nephew, and 3 lawyers.
Just what we love. More committees.
More committees. And no football people. At some point, Titans head coach Mike Vrabel will be a part of the process. Great. Well, make of that what you will. She says, quote, we want someone who is an exceptional talent evaluator, exceptional at roster building, and someone who is an excellent decision maker. Me too. Everybody wants that. Now, here's the key. There's 2 money lines in this. This is the first one. Quote, I also want someone who is a collaborator, someone who is able to find and build consensus to get to the best answers for the team, someone who is open to innovation and evaluating talent beyond the traditional avenues, just a really talented person in all areas. But more than anything, I want someone that can collaborate. That is super important to me, being able to find this person who can collaborate so we're all working together, rowing the boat in the same direction. Collaborator.
To sound like there was some lack of collaboration with John Robinson?
I don't know. She said it 3 times. That she wants a collaborator. I want a collaborator. I want somebody that's going to come in here and who's going to work with the coach that we have. I guess there was a lack of collaboration between Robinson and Vrabel. I don't know. I want someone who's going to do more than just the traditional ways of scouting, i.e. the way John was doing it. Now, here's the second money line. The GM and the head coach are going to report to me, but as an organization, we expect a culture of working together. I think collaboration amongst all of us is going to be important to take that next step in the goal of winning a championship. The 2 of them are going to report to me, but the 2 of them are going to be working together to get us the best team we can possibly have. Once again, collaboration, working together, but she defines it and says it twice. They're both going to report to me. Guess what? That doesn't work. The NFL is not a democracy. The NFL, there is one person who runs the team. And even the most successful teams, everybody knows it. That doesn't mean that the general manager who's in charge is out in front on every decision, but the best teams in the league, there's one guy who makes the call. Just look at the top, Philadelphia. You think Nick Sirianni's calling the shots there? No, he's not. Howie Roseman is. What about in the AFC? What about Kansas City? Brent Veach is Andy Reid's hand-picked general manager. Andy calls the shots. Kyle Shanahan has it in his contract. Even though John Lynch is the general manager, Kyle Shanahan has it written in there, I get the final say. Why? Pete Carroll gets the final say. This idea of our general manager and our coach are going to be on equal footing, that doesn't work in the NFL. The only way it is even remotely possible for that to be effective is if the owner is going to be the de facto decision maker. And again, in my opinion, Amy Adams Strunk is 0-5 as a general manager. I don't want her making those calls. I don't want Amy Adams Strunk and Burke Nihill, and I like Burke Nihill a lot. I do not want them making the decision as to who should play right tackle. Robinson wasn't perfect, and I am not defending him with what I'm saying right now. But the idea of one guy sharing responsibility with another guy, it's not going to work. It never works in the NFL. Remember Bill Parcells' groceries comment? They want you to cook the dinner, but they won't let you buy the groceries. Fired. Bill Belichick showed up. The guy that Parcells was feuding with, Bobby Greer, he stayed on. He was running the Patriots when they hired Bill Belichick. And after about a year, Bill Belichick got rid of Bobby Greer. You can't have it that way. You cannot have this collaboration of Mike Vrabel, you have as much power as Johnny Joe, our GM. One guy has the power, the other guy doesn't. That's how the league works. That's how it works for the successful teams. Now, Carolina, I don't know how in charge Matt Rule was as compared to Scott Fitterer, the general manager. But I know that every decision over there was approved by David Tepper. I know that. Well, you want to be like Carolina? You want to be like the Miami Dolphins with Stephen Ross? Because that's what those organizations do. The idea of sharing responsibility. So who evaluates the coach? Oh, she does. Got it. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. 615-737-1025. That whole they'll both report to me thing, that's like old buddy from Walmart got up there, held a press conference about the Broncos, and he was like, they'll both report to me. I'll handle it. This is not a super center, buddy. This is the NFL. 615-737-1025 is our phone number if you want to weigh in. We will get to your phones. 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel does talk about the new GM, and he did twice kind of show us his frustrations with the previous administration. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at 8:45. Join Robbie and Rex Road for The Choice Is Yours.
2 sports questions, 2 non-sports questions.
They'll answer a couple of questions about life and sports. The Choice Is Yours is built by Jarrett Companies. You have a choice. So when you have a need for site and utility work, fire protection, concrete and asphalt services, the choice is simple. It's Jarrett Companies. For more, visit JarrettCompaniesInc.com. The choice is yours. Wednesdays at 8:45 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
There's never a good time for your furnace to go out, especially in the winter, but it's always a good time to call Lee Company. Our heating and air conditioning pros are available 24/7. No heat? Don't wait. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000. Our expert technicians will diagnose the issue and fix it right the first time. When you're cold, you need someone you can count on to bring the heat. Call Lee Company now at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
When you want to rock.
Let's go, don't wait. This night's almost over. Do all the monsters come out at night? Why do we sleep when we want to hide?
We are Nashville's rock station. 1029 The Buzz.
What's up, everybody? This is Teron Davenport here for Superbook Sports, and I want you to add this to your New Year's resolution. Win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you'll get the best odds anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out the special odds boosts and promotions at Superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sports app now and place your bets. Visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
College football season is here finally. It's me, Caroline Fenton, and you already know that I am pumped up for college football season. And Southeastern Carolines, you know that 312 Pizza Company is my favorite place in town. 312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Music City. You can catch every down of the college football season at 312 Pizza Company. From week 1 of the national championship, 312 Pizza Company is your home for college football season.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 1025 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
The Dominique Foxworth Show.
I believe that most quarterbacks and probably more players are failed than the players themselves not being good. It's the coaches and the situation failing them. I was just thinking that we should start the Shanahan test or the Andy Reid test. When we start talking about players stink or players are bust, especially offensive players, just ask yourself, what would he look like in San Francisco or in Kansas City?
Check out the Dominique Foxworth Show anywhere you get your podcast.
Hi, I'm Steve Lehman. Stay tuned to 1025 The Game for your chance to win tickets to an upcoming Belmont basketball game.
Want to see our smiling faces? You can watch us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live.
We are good to go.
Presented by Superbook Sports, voted #1 sportsbook in Vegas. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
To remain as it was with the previous GM, or are you looking for that to increase?
Well, I'm just looking to try to bring in the best people and the best players that we possibly can.
How collaborative was it?
Again, just going forward, just trying to find the best GM right now. That's the next step. Trying to work through the staff, work through the players, work through meetings. And then when they ask me to be involved, I'm comfortable and excited to be involved in the process, not about where we were or what we did.
How collaborative was the process, Mike? I'm only looking forward, Joe. I'm not talking about what that was. Again, Amy Adams Strunk used the word collaborative or collaboration or some derivative of those words 4 times in her sit-down interview with Jim Wyatt on the team's website, and it's obvious that that was lacking. That clearly John Robinson said, we're going to do things my way. And obviously, that got him fired on some level or another. Now, I do not believe. Now, whether Robinson was the guy to do the job or not do the job, that's a different discussion for a different day. And that day will probably come up at some point this week. But that's a different discussion for a different day. The idea of Amy Adams Strunk telling the team's website that both the GM and the coach will report to her, that's not how this league works. One guy has the power. That's it. Who has the power in Dallas? You think it's Mike McCarthy? No. Sean Payton is interviewing for the Broncos head coaching job. If the Walmart family pays Sean Payton $100 million, which is probably what it would cost, in order for them to be their next head coach, you think George Payton is going to tell Sean what to do? That's not how this league works. Vrabel did, though. It is funny. And again, you have to know how to kind of speak Vrabelese a little bit. But I think Vrabel did show a little, he was okay with hinting a little bit of his problems with John Robinson. Joe asked him a question about injured players they were bringing in.
Has there been enough emphasis, Mike, on durability in the acquisition process?
We've certainly brought some guys in or had some guys that have had some injury history. And if that's, I don't know if that's always a predictor of the future. In some cases it maybe was, and in some cases it wasn't.
So he basically, that's I got to be part of the talk now. That's got to be part of it. It's just injuries. And again, the one thing I always say about the show, you have to be fair. Farley, Julio, Bud Dupree, Corey Davis, those are investing in some injured dudes, and the Titans had to suffer the consequences. Now, on the other side, they would say Landry was injured, and that's why we were able to get him, and he's turned out fine. And the torn ACL has nothing to do with the ankle injury that Harold Landry suffered in college. And then Simmons. But again, Simmons suffered an ACL, and that's different than Farley having a back surgery the week before the draft. So I do think that Robinson and his obsession with injured players was kind of screwed up. And that did piss me off. Make no mistake about it. The second thing that Vrabel kind of hinted at or showed today was the team speed. And the Titans have no speed. Zero. That's how they pull these guys off the street like Dontrell Hilliard last year. Or is it Jonathan Ward? Jonathan Ward or whoever it was running yesterday against Jacksonville. And those guys are faster than all the players they have. And Vrabel knows we got to get a little bit more team speed.
At the position receiver where you feel like you've got to, when you talk about speed, where you've got to get.
No, you want a fastest roster that you can. You know what I mean? You want to fast everybody. You want your D linemen to be able to run. You want your corners to be able to run, receivers. You know what I mean? We're just trying to, I mean, it's a fast game. And so that's what you're trying to do all the time. Just find as fast players that can play football as possible.
When you draft a guy coming off of a back surgery that didn't work out, didn't run the 40, didn't play football last year, you don't value team speed. And I would agree with Vrabel that this team lacks a lot of speed across the board. You go out and get Robert Woods, he's not fast. He's fine, except for when he decided not to catch the ball this year, but he's not fast. You need fast. And I agree with Vrabel there. And I agree with Vrabel on the injury front. You all remember the GM. He wasn't racist. He wasn't sexist. He wasn't elitist. He was an injurist. If you were injured, he didn't like you. And John Robinson was a complete 180. And what's funny about this is I know this to be true. The reason why John Robinson thinks you can invest in injured players is because he was the guy in New England that stood on the table for them to draft Rob Gronkowski. So he was the guy who told Bill, draft him. And I know this is the case because Floyd told me that, and he was the guy who told Bill, don't draft him. And obviously it worked out with Gronk. So if it's going to work out with Gronk, John's thinking that it can work out more. And so he's going to take the risk. And I do think that that was an issue. And I agree with Vrabel. Let's go to your phones. Phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025. Paul is in Franklin's up next. What you got, Paul?
Hey, good afternoon, my friend. How you doing?
Good. Good to hear from you. Go ahead.
Hey, quick pick on the national championship game tonight. I think Georgia's too much for him. Mr. Stillman, 45-27.
Paul, nobody cares. What's your thought on the Titans?
Well, I know what I'm coming at you now. Are you ready?
Go.
On your point about the leadership role, I believe you're absolutely right. There's an old saying: you got too many chiefs and not enough Indians. You ever heard that? That's exactly what.
That's really not a. That's really.
I know, but that's
really not something I like around here on the show.
Now listen. That's what you're going to have. Your point is correct.
Really
You've got to have one person in charge. I agree with you on that. But my other point is this: is that the Titans, and I want you to listen to me because I know you're smart and I've listened to you for years. The Titans have got to change their focus, my friend, and draft or get a elite quarterback in to run that franchise. Look, the AFC now is dominated by elite quarterbacks. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got
Trevor Lawrence is not an elite quarterback. Did you watch a game on Saturday?
Yes, he will be. Yes, he will be an elite quarterback.
I'm not ready to say that. I'm not ready to go there.
Now listen to me. I respect you. I've listened to you for years. The Titans have got to get an elite quarterback. That is how the league is going now. It's a shame, my friend.
30. I agree. I agree. 27 teams. Thank you for your call. 27 teams are thinking the exact same thing you're thinking about needing an elite quarterback. There are 5, 6, if you want to count Justin Herbert, and I kind of do. 6 elite quarterbacks in the league. Herbert, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Brady, Rodgers. That's it. Everybody else is fine. Tannehill's fine. Derek Carr's fine. Dak Prescott is fine. Kirk Cousins is fine. Kyler Murray's fine. They're all fine. Trevor Lawrence is fine. God, I hate this Trevor Lawrence narrative. It's the number one thing that just pisses me off about what happened Saturday is the Jacksonville defense doesn't allow the Titans to do anything. They get a strip sack at just the right time. They return the fumble for a touchdown. And all the microphones go in the face of Trevor Lawrence after the game. Trevor, you played so great. You didn't get a first down in the fourth quarter. Trevor Lawrence, elite quarterback, my ass. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. I do agree the Titans need an elite quarterback, but after I said last offseason they should sell the farm for Russell Wilson, sometimes I feel like maybe I need to be a little less vocal and maybe sit this one out a little bit more. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. I was stunned. I was stunned by not exactly what Mike Vrabel said or the fact that Mike Vrabel didn't completely commit to something that he obviously didn't want to commit to, but I was stunned by the way he absolutely, positively turned his back on something that really has defined him as a coach. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Hey, I'm Matthias Ekholm, and this is Smashville.
Ekholm, his shot, he scores! Matthias Ekholm gets the Predators' third of the night.
You're listening to the flagship of the Nashville Predators radio network, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The choice is yours, Wednesdays at 8:45. Brought to you by Jarrett Companies. Now hiring experienced sprinkler experts. Go to jarrettfire.com. JARRETT fire.com. Jarrett Companies, a company above and beyond industry standards.
When Smashville wants to rock. Nashville's rock station. 102.9 The Buzz.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
You'd never knowingly feed your pup mystery meat or spoiled grocery store food, so why are those some of the most common protein sources in kibble today? Yep, the dog food ingredient meat meal can be made of spoiled supermarket meat and packing plant scraps.
I'm veterinarian Dr. Marty Goldstein. Your dog needs a biologically appropriate diet similar to what they would eat in the wild. That's why I developed Nature's Blend, a freeze-dried raw food made with premium cuts of meat, omega-3 rich seeds, and superfood veggies and fruit.
Bailey is 12 years old. He has been on your food for 9 bags now.
Nature's Blend is pantry safe and has 0 artificial preservatives, additives, filler, or meat meal.
He's got more energy, able to run around and play when our grandson comes.
For a limited time, save 54% off Nature's Blend and receive a free pack of premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/Marty or text Marty to 511-511.
I can't thank you enough. He's 12 and I'm enjoying every day with him.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 1 additional text. Text stop to opt out.
Hey, it's Jared. If you're listening to us on I-24 towards Murfreesboro or I-65 towards Spring Hill, make sure you check out 106.3 for another great way to hear Nashville's best sports talk.
on Tuesday's edition of Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. We got Tim Hasselback at noon, reactions to the national championship game at 1 with Mitch Light, and we will continue to unpack the Tennessee Titans and where they go from here. All tomorrow starting at 11 a.m.
Hey Nashville, this is Penny Hardaway, University of Memphis coach. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Henry-centric on offense during your time, Mike, and a lot of success. Going forward, do you still envision that being kind of the main theme, or do you see it veering off at all in the future?
We'll have to see where things go in the offseason and see where we think is best for the football team and the identity of the football team and where everybody is and what those plans are. So I can't really answer things that are a few months away and the direction, but confident that we're going to be aligned. That the organization starts with alignment from Amy, to with myself, the general manager, the coaching staff, the players. That's what's important in the offseason, is making sure that those things are in place.
Are you guys still committed to Derrick Henry, Mike? I mean, I think it's too early to tell you if we're still committed to Derrick Henry. What? Wait a minute. What? The guy who has essentially made your coaching career, the guy who you stuck on the bench behind Dion Lewis, who you placed third on the depth chart behind David Fluellen, who almost saved your first season, where he took over the last month of the year and almost got you in with 5 straight wins into the playoffs, the guy who carried you to the AFC Championship game, your 2,000-yard rusher. And now it's, I don't know, we're going to be a team built around Derrick Henry. Whoa. And not only that, for a coach to come out and say it like that, that's pretty damning. The direct non-committal, because it'd be a lot easier to commit and then after the fact say, oh, well, something changed, a new GM came in and the new GM didn't, and it's, cover your tracks after the fact. Instead, Vrabel's like, oh, well, we'll have to see where it goes from here if we're still committed to Derrick. I heard that and I thought, whoa. Because even though Derrick Henry doesn't make it a point to make any of his problems public, I don't think Derrick could have liked hearing that. I don't think he could have. Now, here's another thing I don't think that Derrick Henry could have liked hearing. And this is where I think Mike Vrabel let you in a little bit on how he felt about this season offensively. I've said many times, Derrick Henry has a fumbling problem. And Derrick did fumble the other night. Luckily, the ball went out of bounds, and Chigakonkwo got called for holding on that play, so it didn't matter anyways. But Derrick Henry did have a fumbling problem this season for sure. But I was okay with, hey, you're going to give the ball to Derrick on Saturday night, and if Derrick fumbles, you lose. I'm okay with that because I think ultimately he'll get it figured out. But Mike Vrabel was asked about the problems with the offense, which most people are laying at the feet of Todd Downing or that of the offensive line and the construction of that, so you can blame John Robinson. But Vrabel, and again, this isn't what you think, and this isn't what I think. Listen to what Vrabel said when he was asked about some of the problems with the offense, and listen to him basically just call Derrick Henry out.
Well, I think that there's a consistency. I think we've, built the offense around Derrick. We've, had a lot of success in that regard. We have to protect our quarterback better. When you don't protect your quarterback, they get hurt or they turn the ball over. So we have to do that. We have to take care of the football. We gave it to our best player, and he turned it over this year, and he hadn't in the past. And so, there's a lot of factors that go into performance, and we'll look at everything.
Damn. Our offensive line did not protect the quarterback, and we have to protect the quarterback because if you don't protect the quarterback, he's going to get hurt or you turn it over. I agree. No, I don't think anybody's going to dispute that. I don't think Keith Carter, the offensive line coach, is going to be mad about Vrabel saying that. I don't think Dennis Daly or Aaron Brewer is going to have a hard time understanding that, yep, that's true. You got to protect the quarterback. And again, when you say something like that, you're not singling out any one individual. When you say we gave the ball to our best player and he fumbled too much, that is singling out an individual. Remember when Mike Vrabel got up to the podium after Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions against the Bengals last year in the playoffs, and he said, it's never going to be about one guy around here, not as long as I'm the coach. Remember when Mike Vrabel was asked about Dennis Daly almost weekly at the left tackle spot, and Vrabel saying it's not about one guy and you don't see it the way I see it, and Vrabel, when he's asked about the coaches, he always talks about it's players, not plays. It's we got to do this, we got to that. And now he's saying, hey, this season our best player fumbled the ball too much. I mean, can't be mad at me. Derrick Henry just fumbled the ball too much. I'm sorry about that. Not my fault. And I thought, how ungrateful of Mike Vrabel to say that about Derrick Henry. If I'm Derrick Henry, now Derrick Henry is not me, and so Derrick Henry probably doesn't feel the same way I feel. But if I'm Derrick Henry and I heard my coach get up there, and I heard my coach basically, when asked about if the team's still going to revolve around me, say, we'll have to go back and we'll have to look at it, we'll have to see. If I heard that, and then I heard him blame me for fumbling, I'd be pissed. And there's really only one meaningful game that Derrick Henry's fumbles cost you. And that was the Jacksonville game at home. Because if you win the Jacksonville game at home and Derrick Henry fumbled right before halftime, and then the second one, which was one of those stupid Wildcat plays. But the Jacksonville game at home is the only game that you can blame Derrick Henry for fumbling the ball. You would say, okay, well, what about the Texan game at the end where he fumbled that? It didn't matter. It would not have mattered if you had beaten the Texans. It would not have changed the reality about Saturday night's game being for all the marbles. And I actually think Derrick played really well on Saturday night. I thought Derrick looked great Saturday night. I know he had the one fumble, but it went out of bounds and it didn't count anyways. But, I mean, damn. How about Mike Vrabel? I mean, wow.
Well, I mean, if you're going to keep the offense the way it is and Henry's going to continue to get the ball 350-something times, I mean, he can't have a fumbling issue.
Nope.
And so,
but you can't blame him for it.
You mean
the offensive struggles and we gave the ball to our best player and he just fumbled this year. So, what are we going to do?
Well, I guess moving forward, that's going to be a question. Like, if he's not going to be able to figure out the fumbling thing moving on to next season, you're going to just have to give him less carries and you'll have to figure something else out. That will work itself out.
And then you'll lose. And that's fine. I mean, again, either you're running it back the way it's been or you're not.
Sounds like the turnovers were really starting to irk him.
There is no way, and it should, but there's no way to be half in on this. It's like somebody tweeted me a week ago and said, we got to start over. We got to start over and move on from Tannehill and Henry, and we need to re-sign Nate Davis and David Long. I'm like, that's not restarting. Restarting is no Henry, no Tannehill, no Byard, probably no Simmons. That's what restarting is. What the Chicago Bears are doing is restarting. They're spending no money on their team right now. They've got a young quarterback. They've got a high pick, and they freaking suck. That is one team over the last 5 years off the top of my head, I can say, put their hand up and said, we want to rebuild. The Dolphins. They made the playoffs for the first time since the day John Robinson showed up just yesterday, and they had to back in, and they're going to get smoked by Buffalo this weekend. Anybody want to trade places with the Dolphins? Anybody want to be the Dolphins? No. That's the one team that did that. Texter into the text line. Jared, how come there aren't any good NFL teams who identify as centered around a running back? Let me ask you this. Of all the best teams, and I would dispute that because I think the New York Giants are centered around their running back. I do believe that they are a Saquon first team. But think about all the teams that are good, like legitimate contenders, and think about the running back position. Think it matters to San Francisco? Look at what they gave up for Christian McCaffrey. They gave up all those picks. a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a second. They gave up all these picks for Christian McCaffrey. The 49ers were average when they made that trade. Now they're one of the best teams in the league. Philadelphia, Miles Sanders, they run the ball a lot. What about the best teams in the AFC? We know Kansas City. That's a special story. And if you can get Kansas City's quarterback, then you can play like Kansas City. But a running game does matter. The idea of, well, why aren't any of these other teams? Why aren't they? The Chargers have an all-pro running back. The Jaguars love to run the ball a lot. Running the ball is important. Jacksonville used a first-round pick on their running back. The Chargers are paying Eckler a boatload of money. You know who can't run the ball? Tampa. Dallas has 2 good running backs. And Tampa, outside of Tom Brady, is the worst team in the league that is in these playoffs. And people are going to give them a chance because when you've got Tom Brady, you've got a chance. But Tampa, that's it. Tampa. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, too, that Vrabel would throw Derrick Henry under the bus like that. I mean, you gave him the ball 30 times. You took him out on 3rd and 6. The quarterback got hit, fumbled the ball, you lost. You were winning when Derrick played. Turn this around and make this about Derrick Henry. Unbelievable. Texter says, how about Jeffrey Simmons and next year's first for Chicago's number 1 pick or some way to get one of those elite quarterbacks? I mean, I don't know about you guys. I like Bryce Young, the college player. He's 6 foot. He's not even 200 pounds. Is he an elite NFL quarterback? I don't know. But I wouldn't jump up there right now, at least to me. I don't think it's crazy to think that the Titans could move up to select a quarterback in this year's draft. Probably moving up to number 1's a little too rich. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Jonathan Hutton had a detail about how John Robinson was fired that I had not heard of yet. Wow. We'll get to that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. I love those guys. I love Hiller. They take great care of my home, and they can do the exact same for you. Kick off the new year with new upgrades for your home. This month, when you buy something you need for your home, Hiller will give you something you want. Pick your prize. You get a free 55-inch TV, an Apple iPad, a Solo stove, or a Nintendo Switch when you purchase a new whole home generator or select new HVAC systems. Or get a free 55-inch TV, a Nintendo Switch, a Solo stove when you upgrade to a new tankless water heater. There's no better time to take care of the necessary home replacements for your house. And again, I know Hiller because I've been using Hiller for years. Those are my guys, Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud supporters of the Nashville Predators, the Tennessee Volunteers, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Hiller, call the Happy Face Truck today.
185! Every team needs a quarterback. 185! That's why we have
Hasselbeck, bootleg, rollout, toss, touchdown!
Tim. ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck gives his expertise on all things NFL.
How that team is built, I think there's a lot to like about them.
Every Tuesday at noon, Tim with Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. Presented by Red Spirit and Wine in Bellevue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express New Year's blowout sale is going on now. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop great deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Your company's hiring. Who isn't? We would love to show you how to use 102.5 The Game to attract and retain employees. We can also help you find the exact person you're looking for with a targeted digital campaign. You can trust our team to help you build your team. Email us at together@cromwellmedia.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
312 Pizza Company is the official sponsor and location of Southeastern Carolines with Caroline Fenton.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
One is smart.
This has just been a constant trend for this team.
One is funny.
That's right.
Funny looking, maybe. Chase and Michelle with Chase McCabe and Michelle Knezovic.
Are you listening?
I'm listening.
Everybody's listening.
Weekdays from 9 to 11 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Do you ask for your input on anyone that you may already know that you would have a preference for?
Yeah, I mean, we've had conversations about it, so I would just say that those were good conversations, open conversations. So yeah, it's not like Amy's kept me in the dark about the process and how that's going.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel on the GM search for the Titans. And again, the word that Amy Adams Strunk kept using in her sit down with the team's website was collaborative. And she wants a general manager who's going to work together, and clearly making it obvious that John Robinson wasn't the most collaborative general manager out there. Now, I do not know this for a fact, but I do remember John Robinson's introductory press conference. Steve Underwood was the team president when John Robinson got hired. And I do remember that they announced John Robinson and Mike Mularkey as a pair. Robinson, the GM, Mularkey, the coach. And there was a question that came up at that press conference all the way back in 2016. And they asked John Robinson, who has final say on the 53-man roster? And Robinson just goes, Steve. And Steve Underwood goes, John has final say. It was like Robinson wasn't going to let the cat out of the bag, but I've got final say. But I'm not going to say it. Steve Underwood has to be the one who says it. Which makes me think, and again, I don't know this, but it makes me think that John Robinson probably had it in his contract that he gets final say on the roster, which would then make sense because Amy Adams Strunk wants somebody who's more collaborative. And my guess is that Vrabel probably said to her, like, he's getting me too many injured guys. We're drafting too many guys who stink, this kind of thing. And then she probably freaked out after the A.J. Brown game and pulled the plug and fired him. So apparently, and I didn't hear this, but apparently the way John Robinson got fired, boy, it opened some freaking eyeballs with me. Now, the NFL is a very cutthroat business, and relationships in the NFL can be very cutthroat. But apparently, Jonathan Hutton said on the postgame show last night, Jonathan Hutton said that Amy Adams Strunk fired John Robinson over the phone. Fired him over the phone. So John Robinson was hired by the organization in 2016 to lead the team. He's been the chief football executive for 6 years. In those 6 years, you've never had a losing season. You've been to the playoffs 4 times. You won 2 divisions. You were clearly going to win a 3rd. And all those draft nights you've sat in there with them, all those conversations you've had with him, all those good moments and big playoff wins and everything else. Think about how many social events John Robinson went to with Amy Adams Strunk. Think about how much time he spent with her over the last 6 years. and she calls him on the phone and fires him. Now, look, I have a lot of respect for Amy. I really do. And I like Amy. I think Amy's great. I do. But if that's how things are being done around here, and again, it was Hutton who said it, but if that's how things are getting done around here, as far as the general manager that you've had for 6 years, you fire him in the middle of the season when everybody in the world is wondering, wait a minute, you just fired your winning general manager who has the same win percentage as Bill Walsh when you are 3 games up right now in the division? You just fired your general manager in the middle of the season? Clearly something had to have happened. Nope. Nothing happened. No, we just weren't happy. And this couldn't have waited until after the season. Figured, why wait? I don't know. Because you're still in the middle of the season? By the way, how'd that work out for you? Bad. You would have made the playoffs if you had not fired your general manager. But to top it off, you didn't even do it in person? I mean, when they cut these players, they do it in person. They send so-and-so into John's office, and then John has to sit down and look him in the eye and shake his hand and tell him, hey, we see you as a big part of our organization. We see you as, whatever, but we can't pay you the money. We have to move on. Or, you gave us everything that you wanted, and your heart and your soul gave us everything at training camp, but Jimbo over there has a little bit more size, so we're going to go with him. But we thank you for everything. You got to look them in the eye, got to shake their hands. Amy, this is what Hutton said earlier today on Chase and Michelle.
I think while it's not the reason why we saw this team end on a 7-game skid, it certainly plays a factor in the mindset and mentality, not just of the locker room, but the organization as a whole. When you, on December the 6th at 7-5, fire the GM and everyone's asking questions and you don't answer any questions until a Friday after that Tuesday morning firing, which, by the way, took place over a phone conversation, from what I understand.
Hutton says it took place over a phone conversation. The phone!
To fire the GM after so many years, turning the franchise around, seems a bit rough.
Let me tell you something. I've been with this radio station now since 2015. So in April, it'll be, 8 years?
Mm-hmm.
God, that's a long time.
Same for me.
I know. We started right at the same time. I've been here for 8 years. I have the utmost amount of respect for the man that owns this radio station, Bud Walters. And if he were to fire me, I'd still have respect for him. That's how much I am appreciative of the situation that they have put me in and how much respect. I mean, Bud's really a giant in the radio industry. But if he fired me, you got to do it in person. You can't call me. We've been together for 8 years. You can't you got to do it in person. You can't call me. Hey, Jared, we appreciate all the success that we've had in the afternoons with you and the show that we have with you and Floyd and you and Caroline, and we just think it's just time to move on. Click. And it's more so I'm not mad that Amy Adams Strunk would do that, but it's that's not how you do business. And so if this is the direction that they're going to have going forward when they go out and hire the new general manager, that scares me. Because it was not a well-conceived decision when it happened, and then the more details that come out about it, the more, wait a minute, they did what that we seem to be talking about? Fired him over the phone. That's amazing. That is, wow.
That is pretty hardcore cutthroat.
That is harsh. And again, I love Amy. I really do. But wow, over the phone. Oh my God. Adam texts into the text line. You said Robinson was clearly going to win another division championship. How different do you think the outcome of the season would have been without his firing? What's their record today? I think the Titans are hosting the Chargers if John Robinson didn't get fired. I do. Do I think the Titans are going to beat the Chargers? I don't know. I thought the Titans were going to win last week. And for the entire game, I thought they were going to win. And right until Josh Dobbs fumbled, I thought they were going to win. I actually saw Derrick Henry run off the field on the 3rd and 6, and I thought to myself, is that a good idea? Should they run Henry on 3rd and 6, knowing he's probably not going to get it, and let more clock tick off and then punt it to the Jags and put the defense that had been so good in the second half, put them back on the field? Do you do that? Or do you try to throw it and get it? But Dobbs had converted a bunch of big 3rd downs and 4th downs in that game. I'm not going to, hammer Downing over the head for that. But I thought they were going to win. I think that if the Titans are playing the Chargers this week, if they had won on Sunday, I think that or Saturday, I would have picked the Titans to win this week. Because they came right down to the wire with the Chargers last time. And they were injured, and they were on the road, and they got Danico back, and I think the Charger coach is an idiot. Did you see what he did yesterday? Got Joey Bosa and Mike Williams hurt?
Yeah, I saw that they're playing him in worthless game, kind of.
A meaningless game, and he gets them both hurt. Unbelievable. 615-737-1025. All right. I've got the plan in front of me right here. If you're looking at the stream, I got it right here. This is what the Titans have to figure out starting today. These are the discussions that they have to have. And not the bull crappery of the, we want this, or, Amy, what's important to you? We want to build a championship team. Well, no, duh. But, what really has to get decided, I've got it in front of me. We'll get to that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Stuck at work without a radio?
Wait a minute. Disastrous.
I hate that.
It's got to be there.
That's okay. Download the Game Nashville app or go to thegamenashville.com and listen live. We are Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
When you want all the
going in and the score, blast the score. He risked one, they score.
And don't forget the
what a stop. Sliding across to make the save. The backhander, nice stop.
When all you want is Smashville. We have you covered. Hear every Predators game right here. We are your home for Smashville. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Wild Card Weekend is here, and the easiest way to get into the playoffs is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. And when you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. Boy, I love Tom Brady this weekend, especially after what we saw from the Cowboys on Sunday. And I think Brady may get it done. All in an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code JGM. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Line of Credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. Rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Now, your Game Center update.
This Game Center update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Tennessee Titans saw their season come to an end on Saturday night after a 20-16 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans finished the season with a 7-10 record following 7 straight losses to conclude their campaign. The long off-season process for the team now begins. Head coach Mike Vrabel on the next steps for the team.
There'll be conversations here in the short term about, the general manager and where that goes, and then that person and I will have conversations. We'll have conversations with Amy, about the extent of the change that we have. I don't think that that's something that is going to happen necessarily overnight, but there's going to be, change.
The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 3 wins in a row as they are back in action tonight in Ottawa to take on the Sens. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30 right here on the Preds Radio Network. And the College Football National Championship game between Georgia and TCU is tonight. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Live from the Game Nashville studios. WPRT-FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
A gutty performance. Do your job.
And the Tigers regain the lead. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman & Company is delivered by TriStar Moving 1025 and 1063 The Game. Streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live thanks to Superbook Sports. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. All right, we have breaking news. The Titans have parted ways. Thank you. The Titans have parted ways with offensive coordinator Todd Downing, offensive line coach Keith Carter, secondary coach Anthony Midget, and offensive skills assistant Eric Frazier. Whatever the hell that is and whoever the hell that is. But the headline right now, to me, Todd Downing is out as the Titans offensive coordinator, which is hilarious because literally 5 hours ago, I asked Mike Vrabel if he had made a decision on Todd Downing. Here's what Mike Vrabel said 5 hours ago. Sorry about that, Ian. I know, I just throw this to you. This is what Vrabel said.
Our offensive coordinator and Todd, that'll be part of the conversations, and that'll be part of my evaluation, this week as it relates to the football team.
Any changes been made yet, Mike, on the coaching staff?
No, not yet. Just still, again, working through conversations with the players and having some meetings, and, I'll meet with the coaches and, continue that process.
Ruthless. Now, let me start by getting out the thing that matters to me the most in this, which is, where is Craig Aukerman? And why is Craig Aukerman the special teams coach? By the way, the special teams freaking sucked on Saturday night and allowed a big return to Agnew that changed the game. Why is Craig Aukerman keeping his
They
job?
were obsessed with talking about Agnew all week, and it mattered none.
By the way, Vrabel was actually talking about how early in the year they had a dominant special teams unit. And so I don't know what it is. I don't know what pictures this guy has on Vrabel. Clearly it's something. But Aukerman, I can't believe Aukerman, still has a job. But here you go. Todd Downing is out. Keith Carter is out. Anthony Midget is out. Let me start with the obvious, which is Todd Downing. I don't think Vrabel wanted to do this. I don't think that Mike Vrabel wanted to fire Todd Downing. I don't think Mike Vrabel had a choice. Now, 99.9% of the time, Mike Vrabel's the kind of guy who's going to puff his chest out and say, I think Todd's doing a good job. I'm not going to do this. You don't understand. You watch. But Mike Vrabel has lost 7 games in a row. Todd Downing has now been an offensive coordinator in the NFL for 3 years, and every single season, the offense has regressed. He inherited a top 10 offense with the Raiders when they fired Bill Musgrove, their offensive coordinator, and they put Todd Downing in there and they went to 17th. He inherited the number 2 offense in the NFL last season, and they went to 17th. This year, they were ranked 30th in the league. They scored 27 points one time on the road against Green Bay, and Todd Downing got popped with a DUI on the way home after the game. Mike Vrabel didn't have a choice. At some point, they were going to look at him, and they were going to say, Mike, what are you going to do about this? And even though Vrabel has the ultimate say over his coaching staff, even though Vrabel probably gets to call the shots, it's not a hill that he was willing to die on. As far as his own currency was concerned, he's the most popular guy in town. If Amy Adams Strunk had done to him what she did to John Robinson, she may not get a stadium built. That's how popular Mike Vrabel is. But if Mike Vrabel had returned with Todd Downing next season, and he had stuck his chest out and he had told the fans with that constant arrogance that Vrabel never relents on, if he had said, hey, I know Todd's a good coach, I believe in Todd, it's not his fault, quarterback got hurt, running back fumbled the ball, offensive line was a total mess, Todd's a good play caller, Todd's a good coach, just trust me. If he had done that, it would have burned up all the currency that he had with the fans here in town, and he couldn't afford to do that. This was a self-preservation move from Mike Vrabel. And again, I don't think this is a move that Mike Vrabel wanted to make. I don't think Keith Carter was a move that Mike Vrabel wanted to make. I asked Mike Vrabel years ago about Keith Carter because the line was stinking it up. It was the beginning of the 2019 season. And I asked Mike Vrabel about Keith Carter, and Mike was like, no, I see how he's coaching them. I see what he does every day with them. I know Keith's doing a great job. I'm not changing the coach. Well, if Vrabel believed in him so much then, and since then they've had a 2,000-yard rusher, and they had a solid offensive line last year, and nobody was even questioning Keith Carter over the last 2 years, why this year? And unlike Todd Downing, I have no sympathy for Todd Downing. At the end of the day, I heard Teresa Walker ask Vrabel a question today that apparently the Titans only scored 34 points in the fourth quarter the whole season. How does that happen?
That's hard to do.
34 points in the fourth quarter all season. It was obvious, no matter who the players were, it was obvious that the Titans were much better at operating the game plan in the first half than they were in the second half. Whether it was the Giants, where they got up 13-0 real quickly, whether it was the Raiders and the Colts in back-to-back weeks where they scored 20-plus in the first half, even last week, they were much better in the first half against Jacksonville than they were in the second half, which means that Todd Downing was not adjusting well enough like the defensive coaches were. With Keith Carter, I think that this is unfortunate. And again, I'm not saying he was a great offensive line coach. I don't know. But that offensive line this year, he loses his starting left tackle the second game of the year. He's stuck with a 276-pound left guard who can't block anybody because he's the size of a linebacker. He's got an old center who gets concussed twice. He's got a lazy right guard, and he's got no right tackle. And you're going to fire the guy? I think that's unfortunate. What I think ultimately happened, somebody had to take the blame. And Downing, there was no way Downing was coming back. But I think Anthony Midget is taking the blame for the worst-ranked pass defense in the NFL. And I think Keith Carter is taking the blame for the struggles of the offensive line. The Midget thing, I don't know. You know, I know that Bob had texted me at points during the games where he would talk about, and this wasn't like a constant thing. So I don't want to throw Bob under the bus because I love Coach Shoop. But, you know, every now and then there'd be a play that would get completed on the Titans, and Bob would say it's bad leverage. This is bad inside leverage, cuts the guy, you know, whatever. The football term thing. And so maybe that was a reason why they decided to make a move. The secondary certainly had its share of injuries between Fulton and Hooker. And again, I can make an argument for Midget. I can make an argument for Keith Carter. I feel like those guys probably got a raw deal. And it was somebody has to take the blame. It was you can't lose 7 in a row and everybody keep their jobs. Todd Downing, there was no way Vrabel could bring him back. And I still think Vrabel wanted to bring Todd Downing back. I believe that Mike Vrabel wanted Todd Downing to be his offensive coordinator next year and that he blames all the other things and not the coordinator for the regression of the offense this year. He blames the AJ trade. He blames the offensive line. He blames the Robert Woods dropping the ball. He blames Derrick Henry's fumbles. He blames Tannehill being hurt. He blames Josh Dobbs fumbling. He blames all those things over Todd Downing. And I posted the video on Twitter earlier this morning, but after Dobbs threw the 4th down pass to Hassan Haskins, they showed Dobbs on the sidelines of the ESPN broadcast, and Todd Downing was slapping him on the thigh like hey, you played a good game out there. It's tough we couldn't do it. Dobbs staring off into space, but you looked at Downing, and his eyes were glazed and red. It was doing everything. It was taking everything in him not to cry. He knew what was coming. He knew he was getting fired. Todd Downing out. Keith Carter out. Anthony Midget out. Some guy named Eric Frazier out. Somehow Craig Aukerman still has a job. How embarrassing is that? I mean, I'm not doing the Aukerman thing this year.
At least Randy made his kicks.
I'm not doing the Aukerman thing next year. I mean, those special teams better be freaking elite, and they won't be with him coaching them. I'm hopeful that this is just the first wave. Look at his face at the sideline, on the sidelines. He knew what was coming. Vrabel didn't have a choice. And I think deep down inside, I think Downing probably knew Vrabel didn't have a choice either. As much as he wanted to, and this is a football thing, these football guys always kind of have this sense of like, well, it's not my fault that this happened. No matter what it may be. Everybody's got a story about how it's always somebody else's fault. I think deep down inside, Downing knew that he was not going to be able to continue as the offensive coordinator around here. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your phones on this. 615-737-1025. So now the Titans have answered a question that I really wanted to know as far as their offseason plans are concerned with the firing of Downing, but it actually opens up another question about where they're headed from here. We'll get to that next, and we'll get to your phones. Your reaction, Todd Downing, Keith Carter out off the offensive coaching staff. 615-737-1025. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
Every Wednesday at noon.
No matter the down and distance and no matter the score, they're going to give him the football.
Outkick 360's Jonathan Hutton joins Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace to talk all things Titans and NFL.
I hope that they're not throwing flags simply because the league wants to see more of it.
He's got opinions and insights on the two-tone blue.
They are not as good at wide receiver and the playmaking department.
Catch Hutton every Wednesday at noon. Presented by Blend Bar with Davidoff Cigars and by Ed Lee's Barbecue on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Now is a fantastic time to sell in Nashville, but you can't do it without the intel. And no one has better intel than the Gary Ashton team. You may be wondering, what is this intel I keep hearing about? Intel so you can sell your home without any staging or showings. Intel on where to find your next home so you can sell your current one while the market's hot. Intel that helps you win the buyer battle and cash in on your home equity now. Everyone else is getting the same information and competing for the same properties. GaryAshton.com gives you the edge with the best real estate intel in Nashville. No one else even comes close. Plus, the Gary Ashton team is the official real estate agent for the Preds. Get the confidence to sell your home and find your dream address without the stress. Call the Gary Ashton team with RE/MAX Advantage today at 615-301-1650 or visit GaryAshton.com. And remember, don't sell without the intel.
What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Knezovic for Superbook Sports, and this is your New Year's resolution: win money in 2023 with Superbook Sports. Superbook has over 3 decades of sports wagering experience in Las Vegas, so you'll get the best odds boosts anywhere as we head into the football playoffs. Plus, check out their special odds boosts and promotions at superbook.com. Make 2023 the year when you win money from Vegas. Download the Superbook Sportsbook app and place your bets today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789.
Al Gill here from my friends at Dunkin'. Warm up and feel the love with Dunkin'. Treat yourself and a loved one to a brown butter toffee hot or iced latte, which is superb paired with the bacon avocado tomato sandwich. Be sure to try the all-new stuffed biscuit bites. It's a warm biscuit dough wrapped around a mixture of bacon, scrambled egg, and cheddar cheese. Visit us at our newly remodeled Dunkin' on Briley Parkway in Nashville or the new Dunkin' in Mount Juliet and our other locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Price and participation may vary. Limited time offer. Terms apply.
Hey, it's Hutton. Interest rates are rising, but not at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Replace your old unit fast before new regulations increase prices up to 20%. Get a new unit today at today's price and receive up to $1,500 off or get 18 months of no payments. So the first payment is not until spring of 2024. At Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, all new systems come with a 10-year parts and labor warranty. Schedule your appointment now at springhillac.com. That's springhillac.com.
Losing your hair? It's Chase McCabe. No matter your age, gender, or type of hair loss, it's never a good feeling when you see too much hair on your brush or you begin to notice bald spots. For 45 years, Hair Club has helped more than 500,000 members get hair they love. If you're affected by hair loss and not sure what to do, let Hair Club help customize a solution for you. For a limited time, get 10% off when you book a free consultation today and get started at hairclub.com/chase. That's hairclub.com/chase.
Anyone want to tell me what happened? Did you miss any of today's show?
It's okay. It's fine. Don't worry.
Subscribe to the Stillman and Company podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, or by going to theGameNashville.com.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Henry-centric on offense during your time, Mike, and had a lot of success. Going forward, do you still envision that being kind of the main theme, or you know, do you see it veering off at all in the future?
You know, we'll have to see where things go in the offseason and see where we think is best for the football team and the identity of the football team and, you know, where everybody is and what those plans are. So I can't really answer things that, you know, are a few months away in the direction, but, you know, confident that we're going to be aligned. You know, that the organization starts with alignment from Amy, you know, to, you know, with myself, the general manager, the coaching staff, the players. You know, that's what's important in the offseason, is making sure that those things are in place.
There you go. That was Mike Vrabel earlier today. Cannot commit to being a Derrick Henry-centric team next season. And now Todd Downing is out as offensive coordinator. And I have my off-season to-do list for the Titans. And it's not as micro as, you know, who's the left tackle going to be? It's way more macro, like, what do you do with Derrick Henry? And one of the second question in the off-season to-do list for me is to make a determination on Ryan Tannehill. Is he your guy? Is he not your guy? The third thing, following the determination on Tannehill, if yes on Ryan Tannehill, who's his coordinator? What system do you want to run? And I don't know what Vrabel might do. You know, Tommy Curran of NBC Sports Boston just put out there that he could see Bill O'Brien getting an interview with the Titans, considering that Bill O'Brien, who's at Alabama right now, wants to get back in the NFL. Mike Vrabel, unlike Bill Belichick in New England, is not beholden to Nick Saban. The way that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick work, and Nick Saban has told me this, but the way they work is that if Nick Saban wants to hire somebody from Bill Belichick, then Nick has to ask Bill's permission. And that not even O'Brien could go to Belichick and say, hey, I'd like to come back and be offensive coordinator of the Patriots. No. Nick has to tell Bill, hey, I want you to hire Bill O'Brien, and vice versa. Because Nick Saban told me that that's what happened when he hired Brian Daboll to be his offensive coordinator at Alabama. And Mike Vrabel is not beholden to Nick Saban like that. But it's a different system. What Bill O'Brien runs is not what the Titans run. The Titans run what Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, what Green Bay, Cincinnati, Atlanta, what all those teams across the league are running, that's what the Titans run. And if it's a different system, then what? Could it be somebody off the Andy Reid system? One of those coordinators or one of those offensive play callers. I believe Shane Steichen is the offensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. He doesn't call plays. Nick Sirianni calls the plays. Would Shane Steichen want to come here, but then you're running that Andy Reid system? Matt Nagy, Eric Bieniemy, would you bring in one of those guys to run a different system? I don't see Vrabel running a different system. And I do see Vrabel going with somebody that he knows. And O'Brien would fit that bill. The other guy is already in the building. That's Tim Kelly. And I don't know what Vrabel thinks about him calling the plays. My guess is Vrabel probably thinks that he does a decent job. But I don't know what his contract situation is or anything else. I think Mike Vrabel wanted to stick with Todd Downing, and Mike Vrabel didn't have a choice. And he was not going to force the owner to make him fire the offensive coordinator. When you lose 7 games in a row like Vrabel did, even though deep down inside you've got final say on your coaching staff, you don't force that issue. And so I think Vrabel made the proactive step of firing the offensive coordinator and not having a knock on the door to be like, why the hell is he still the offensive coordinator? Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com, 615-737-1025. Once again, if you're just joining us, the breaking news, Todd Downing has been relieved of his duties, as have Keith Carter and secondary coach Anthony Midget. Apparently, Craig Ackerman was not. Vrabel, the quote in the release, quote, I want to thank Todd, Keith, Anthony, and Eric for their service and commitment to our team over their time here in Tennessee. Each of them made an impact on our organization. We're dedicated to the process and loyal members of our coaching staff. Let's go to AG, who's been waiting patiently and is up next. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, AG.
Yeah, how y'all doing? Good show. But, Jerry, man, it kind of feel like you kind of, like, the offensive line coach, what's his name, Carter?
Yep, Keith Carter.
You used to, it'll sound like you be calling for somebody to be fired. Like, I don't be knowing what you be saying sometimes, but it sounded like you wanted him fired so bad just a while ago, and now it's like you like being sympathetic towards him. It's just
well, is the a while ago you're talking about 2019?
I mean, I don't know exactly what year it was, but you was just calling for the man head, and you was calling for Downey head, and he done got rid of both of them.
Oh, I don't have a problem with Downing.
And you said, that's what I'm saying. He done fired both of them, and then you go straight to, oh man, Ackerman's still here. It's like,
oh God, don't remind me.
It's like we just gotta go to some. Can we have an optimistic Mondays for the old, Jared and GM fans?
So what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say, AG?
I mean, come with your diagram about everything moving forward so I can weigh yours against, because it sounds like you feel like you better at it than Vrabel now.
That's what if you're looking at the stream, and I know you're not, thank you for your call, AG. If I have right in front of me the whole plan right here, you can probably read it. It's right up against the camera right now on the stream. Like, I had it, and I teased it coming into this hour. I was like, all right, coming up next, we're going to get to the plan as to what the Titans need to do. And then Ian looked at me, and he put his hand in like a circular motion, like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he's like, they fired Todd Downing. And that is the breaking news. Let me say this. Keith Carter, 2019, I wanted Keith Carter out of here. And then Derrick Henry won the rushing title, and they ended up in the AFC Championship game. Then the next year, they rushed for 2,000 yards. Last year, they had problems on the offensive line, and it was fine. This year, I just think the personnel on that line was so bad. I mean, I don't think Dante Scarnecchia or Mike Munchak could have made a difference over there. Although that's who they need to go get to be the line coach. They need Amy Adams-Strunk and Mike Vrabel to go hat in hand and get on their hands and knees and kiss Mike Munchak's feet to come back and be the line coach, it probably won't happen. Let's go to May, who's up next here on the program. Thank you for calling. What's up, May?
How you doing, boys?
Good.
Well, this is my issue. I really hate that they're getting fired. But my take on this is the strength and conditioning coach. If we're scoring so little points in the fourth quarter, we're not outlasting. We've got last year, we were number one in IR. We played more players than any other in the NFL, and I believe we're going to retain that title for this year. Has not anyone looked at Frank? I can never pronounce his last name.
Frank Pirano. I hear what you're
Thank
saying.
you.
Thank you for your call, May. Strength and conditioning, medical staff, all of it, they've got to discuss it. They've got to take it real serious. And the truth is, they don't know why they're having all the injuries. They don't know. And it's one of those things in life that everybody has their own theory on it. And I'm sure they have their own theories internally that they will not share externally. You'll just have to see what choices they make. But I think they have to look at it because the way it is now, it doesn't make any sense. 615-737-1025. So here's some things that you have to factor in to the offensive coordinator search. We'll get to that next. Plus, D-Mace thinks he already knows who the Titans are going to hire, and then we're right back to your phones. Todd Downing out as Titans offensive coordinator, 615-737-1025, Stillman and Company, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ESPN Titans NFL Nation reporter Teron Davenport brings knowledge.
3 touchdowns. He was processing, getting rid of the ball quickly.
Passion.
Make no mistake about it. He absolutely has to hit the ground running.
And expertise on the two-tone blue and the NFL. Join TD every Monday at 11, Thursdays at 3, and Friday morning at 8 for all the latest on your favorite team. Teron Davenport is presented by Craneworks on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Are you a fan of Twin Peaks? Sign up for their e-club to stay up to date on all things Twin Peaks and score free stuff. Signing up is easy. Just visit twinpeaksrestaurant.com/peaks-club to get started today.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectrictn.org to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the East Tennessee Clean Fuels Coalition, the Tennessee Association of Broadcasters, and this station.
Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House invites you to join them for this year's college football bowl games and playoff action. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, or Ohio State, who will be the last one standing? Boom Boss has countless big screen TVs and the biggest video wall in Nashville at their East Nashville location. So watch it all go down and enjoy their 2-time award-winning Best Pizza in America, featured on the Food Network and 100% crafted for you. Wash it all down with their award-winning happy hour with $2 Boom Brews and select domestic pints. Boom Boss Craft Pizza and Tap House in East Nashville, 1003 Russell Street. Pizza, beer, sports. See you there, Nashville.
Built upon a solid foundation of cast iron and steel, the Kubota LO1 series is part of our under 100 horsepower tractor lineup rated #1 for reliability. They feature powerful Kubota diesel engines and easy operation. The durable Kubota LO1 series. Talk to your local Kubota dealer today to schedule a demo. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Visit Coleman Tractor Company, your local Kubota dealer in Clarksville, Nashville, Paris, and White House today.
Hey guys, the new year is here! And for many of us, that means making resolutions to get healthier and in better shape. But if you don't have that youthful energy, if you aren't sleeping well, if you feel like you're walking around in a fog all day, just resolving to get out of bed can be tough, let alone getting back in the gym. But you should know that there are many men feeling this way in these modern times, because low testosterone is affecting more men than ever. And low T can cause all kinds of issues like a reduced sex drive, poor sleep patterns, general fatigue, ineffective workouts. It can even contribute to ED. But the good news is that the medical team at the Tennessee Men's Clinic are experts in treating low T. Many men have experienced life-changing results. Testosterone therapy can help increase energy, workouts, make you feel more rested, and enjoy a greater sex drive too. So make a resolution to find that guy you used to be. Call the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes a medical consult and testosterone panel. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. That's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment, sex start, results vary.
It's a new year and a new game. Robbie and Rex Road from 6 to 9.
I don't know whether to be proud of you or to tell you to leave the room. Both would be appropriate.
Chase and Michelle from 9 to 11.
Did you look at what the other teams are doing?
That's a player I want to keep an eye on.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace from 11 to 2.
You're the best running back in the league.
That's one you really need to win.
This is the way we were built. And Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman from 2 to 6.
Really the greatest player in the history of the team.
It's your new weekday lineup now on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, I'm Gary Smith, head coach of Nashville SC. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
I think the right guy, honestly, or at least I'm going to say not from my opinion, but I think from Vrabel's opinion, I think the right guy is already in the building. He didn't bring him there just to be some game passing coordinator.
You're talking about Kelly?
Yeah. He didn't bring him in just to be that. I think Vrabel already has who he wants to be the offensive coordinator.
That was D-Mace earlier today before we even knew that Todd Downing was going to be fired. Again, if you're just getting in the car, turning on the radio, Todd Downing is out as the Titans offensive coordinator. D-Mace thinks Vrabel wants Tim Kelly. That's why he hired Tim Kelly. That's why Tim Kelly's there. Tim Kelly will be the coordinator. It should be noted that when Arthur Smith left to become the Falcons head coach, that Mike Vrabel tried to interview Tim Kelly and that the Houston Texans blocked that move. Then the next year, after David Culley got fired and Lovie Smith took over, Kelly was fired and the Titans added him to the coaching staff. So there's a couple of things we need to know. First and foremost, the Titans must interview 2 minority candidates for the offensive coordinator position in order to satisfy the Rooney Rule, as they must interview 2 minority candidates to satisfy the Rooney Rule for the general manager position, and they are interviewing 2 minority candidates for the position. Like Rand Carthon is interviewing from the 49ers for the GM position, and I don't know about Glenn Cook of the Browns, Ian Cunningham of the Bears, or Malik Boyd of the Bills. I don't know if any of them are minorities or not. But I do think that with all the people they're going to interview, Monty Ossenfort is already on the staff. He would count as well. So here's the list of people that I just, off the top of my head, I'm throwing this out there. I have no idea, but this is just a quick list off the top of my head of possible coordinator candidates. First off, obviously, Tim Kelly. First of all, Vrabel has a comfort with him. He's already there. He might interview for other coordinator jobs. If you don't make him your coordinator, he's got experience doing it. It's okay. But the Texans offense, I thought, looked a lot better last year than it did this year. Tim Kelly's on the list. Number 2, Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien has experience as a coordinator in the NFL. Bill O'Brien has experience with Vrabel. He was the head coach of the Texans when Vrabel was a linebacker coach and later defensive coordinator of the Texans. Bill O'Brien, it has been reported, wants to get back in the NFL after a couple of seasons at Alabama. And I'm sure Bill O'Brien would like to shove it up the keister of the Houston Texans if he were to be given a chance. The other thing that I think about, for me, is that if you want to get in the Brady sweepstakes, and I don't know if they want to get in the Brady sweepstakes or not, but if you want to get in the Brady sweepstakes, you need to have Bill O'Brien as your coordinator because Brady's worked with him. So that's the second name. The third name, now this is a fascinating one, and it plays into the 11th overall pick in the draft. Liam Cohen is the offensive coordinator of the LA Rams. The reason I mention him, it has been rumored that he is going to leave the Rams and go back to Kentucky, where he was their offensive coordinator, and he made Will Levis into a can't-miss first-round prospect. it would not surprise me the Titans pick 11th. It seems like Will Levis would probably be somewhere in the 5, 6, 7 range. It would not surprise me if the Titans had their sights set on Will Levis to find a way to trade up, make Liam Cohen your coordinator. He knows your system, and he knows Will Levis, and you go from there. I believe Liam Cohen would take the opportunity to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL over the offensive coordinator at Kentucky if he got to call the plays. He doesn't get to call the plays with the Rams, but he would get to call the plays with the Titans. Keep that one in mind. Nathaniel Hackett last year was in Green Bay. He knows the system. It obviously didn't work out in Denver. That doesn't mean he's a bad offensive coach. He got the Jags to an AFC title game, and Blake Bortles threw for 300 yards in that AFC title game, and Blake Bortles stinks. So Nathaniel Hackett is not just some bum, although it was a humongous disaster with him as the offensive coordinator or the head coach in Denver this year. That doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad coordinator. And then last, Anthony Lynn. Now, he's in San Francisco right now, which means he knows your system. Anthony Lynn has a ton of experience. And if you are going to still be built around Derrick Henry, which Mike Vrabel would not commit to today, Anthony Lynn is a running backs coach. Anthony Lynn has experience as a play caller. He, again, knows your system. He did that last year in Detroit before he was fired. And as of right now, two of the names that the Titans will be interviewing for the GM position, Adam Peters and Rand Carthon, come from San Francisco. So I would put Anthony Lynn on the list. So that's just a quick couple of names out there that could be available. Phones, 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Ernie has been waiting patiently and is up next. Thank you for calling. What's up, Ernie?
How you doing, sir?
Good.
All right. Jerry, I got to be honest. You really have grown on me over the years. Usually it's those skies always falling. But today I have to agree with you. My OC, what about, I'm going to throw two names out there because you had a really good list. Frank Reich, Brian Johnson, quarterback coach for Philadelphia. Also, two cuts that need to happen. Please happen. Please happen. I need Taylor Lewan gone. I need Bud Dupree gone.
I think you can count on that. I don't think you have to worry about that. Now, you're going to have to wait a couple of months, but I don't think you're going to have to worry about that at all.
I can tell you, it really bothered me watching that. I'm watching that TCU game, and Taylor Lewan's run up and down the sideline, and we deal with Dennis Kelly. I mean, come on now. I mean, every Titans fan watched that game, and I'm like, are you serious? You're running up and down the sideline?
But that's not Taylor Lewan's fault that he's running up and down the sidelines. Just because he can walk. Thank you for your call, Ernie. Just because he can walk and can jog around the sidelines doing a television broadcast does not mean that Taylor Lewan can play left tackle in the NFL on that knee. But you will get your wish. Lewan and Dupree are going to get cut. Woods, Cunningham, Jamarco Jones, Randy Bullock could all be on the chopping block. But you will get your wish there. And I hear a lot of people that are like, well, do you think Lewan would take less and you could give him a pay cut? And you can't trust him to play all the games. So even if Taylor Lewan came to the Titans hat in hand and said, I'll play for $4 million next year, just cut my salary, even if he did that, which I don't know if he would or wouldn't do, you couldn't do that, sign him for $4 million and say, okay, now we feel good about left tackle. The idea about Frank Reich and Brian Johnson, they don't run the system here. So unless Vrabel wants to change the system, he's probably not going to go outside of somebody who knows the system or can learn what Vrabel wants him to do. LT's up next. Thank you for calling. What's up, LT?
Hey, what's going on? So I have a quick question for you. I'm going to take it like a different direction. I know that everybody's talking about the offense and the firings and what's going on and potential replacements, but I want to focus on special teams. What is your whole view about how things are going with special teams? Because when I was watching the game on Saturday, I noticed that Jacksonville had like a great kick return. I mean, that guy was putting the offense in a great field position when he took the field. So I'm going to have him a list in a minute, but I know that Craig Ackerman is our current, special teams coach, but give me your overall assessment of what needs to happen as far as special teams. Thanks. I
am highly disappointed. Thank you for your call, LT. I am highly disappointed that in today's 5-sentence tell-all about all the coaches that got fired, it feels to me like that is the summary of Anthony Midget's not back, Todd Downing's not back, Keith Carter's not back, and Eric Frazier's not back. The end. And that's it. And that scares me. I don't like that. I want Craig Aukerman out of there. I will trade you Keith Carter for Craig Aukerman. I'll keep Keith Carter if I can get rid of Craig Aukerman. I mean, the Titans special teams have been bad since the day Mike Vrabel showed up. They were bad before Mike Vrabel showed up, and Craig Aukerman was a special teams coach. I mean, to answer your question about what are my thoughts, I am so disappointed that I feel almost certain there will not be any more staff changes other than hirings. I think that email, that press release the Titans sent out, I think that is it for the firings. That is, Vrabel had his press conference. Vrabel went down to his office after the press conference and said, on the little phone thing to his secretary, right? I don't think it's Stretch anymore, but it might be, Stretch, send Todd in, and fired him. Stretch, send Keith in, fired him. Stretch, send Anthony Midget in, fired him. And that Aukerman is not getting fired. And I am disappointed because Craig Aukerman is terrible. And the special teams never get any better, and all they do is lose the Titans games. And congratulations to the punter for banging the crap out of the ball this year and setting an NFL record. Did you see this stat yesterday? Just absolutely knocked me off my socks. And that is about the coaching staff, or about the punter. So the punter, Ryan Stonehouse, had 59 punts returned this season. That led the NFL. Cameron Johnston of the Texans, and you think they punt a lot? Cameron Johnston of the Texans had 43 returned. So Ryan Stonehouse had 16 more punts returned last year than the next guy. Almost every single guy had about 250 to 350 yards in punt return yards. Stonehouse had 336 in punt return yards. I don't get it. I don't get why Aukerman's still here. And yet they'll never fire him. They will never fire Craig Aukerman. And it is so incredibly disheartening. More of your phones next. Again, the breaking news. Todd Downing out. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. And I am disappointed about a question I did not ask at the press conference today. It had to do with Todd Downing. But it is something I'm wondering off the top of my head. We'll get to that and your phones. TriStar Moving. Those are my official movers. I always tell people, hey, if you're looking to move, just give TriStar a call. Get a bid from TriStar Moving, because as you go through the process, you'll realize how absolutely stress-free they can make moving. I know this because I moved with TriStar. And so they've got an unbelievable sales staff. They got two owners, Garrett and Robert, local Nashville dudes who I consider my friends. They are good guys, and they care about taking care of you, and they will do that. They are fantastic. Their movers are highly trained. And again, they moved me, and I loved everything about it. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit their website at nashvillemoving.org/radio. They'll give you 10% off your entire move, and that's a lot of money in a move. So get a bid. That's TriStar Moving, 615-640-1219, nashvillemoving.org/radio. Tell them Jared Stillman sent you for 10% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Bowl season is here.
Keeps his feet out of a tackle, and it's a race now.
Catch all the action right here at 102.5, 106.3 The Game, and 94.9 The Fan.
Down the middle, right on the money, touchdown.
All the big moments of bowl season are presented by Boomba's Craft Pizza and Tap House, Pizza, Beer, Sports, headquartered in East Nashville, and by Superbook Sports.
My goodness, look out.
Bowl season is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and The Game Nashville app.
Patients go to Houston Clinic Orthopedics after they've exhausted other pain management treatments, like physical therapy or lifestyle changes. If you suffer from chronic pain, interventional pain management may be the solution. With interventional pain management, the physicians at Houston Clinic Orthopedics use a variety of quick, minimally invasive procedures. The goal is to disrupt the pain cycle and reduce or alleviate your pain. Schedule your appointment at tn.houston.com. When experience matters, trust Houston Clinic Orthopedics.
Want to kick off the new year without any credit card debt? If that sounds good to you, you can do it with Loan Pronto's Express Equity line of credit. Wipe out all those credit card bills right now. Hey, Willie Donick here. rates are down, and it's a great move to get on more solid financial footing for the new year. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a portion of the equity you have and enjoy a rate that's a whole lot less than what the banks charge on credit cards. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. You can access up to 95% of your home's equity. Use that money to pay off those high-interest credit card loans of any type. Credit cards, personal loans, car loans, whatever. Consolidate everything into one easy payment. Even if you did a whole total refi last year, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program and keep your main loan intact. Call Loan Pronto, 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780, or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Middle Tennessee, you can count on an award-winning service team for all your home maintenance and improvement needs. Lee Company, we're A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and trusted by thousands of homeowners in our community. Our team is ready to assist with all your home maintenance projects, heating and air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, appliance service, and more. Experience the convenience of calling one phone number for all your home maintenance needs. Call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or visit leecompany.com.
A show that lives and breathes sports.
Focus in, focus in, focus in.
From the SEC.
Credit to the Alabamas, the Georgias, and the Ohio States of the world.
To the Preds.
They've been in a lot of really tight games, but they're not winning enough of them.
To the Titans.
He's talking about what this franchise has built over the years.
Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace.
What is this? Check it out.
Weekdays from 11 to 2 on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Mike, do you factor discipline into your decision about whether or not you're going to retain Todd after the DUI?
I mean, I think our behavior and our actions outside of here are critical, whether that's, mine, the coaches, the players. I mean, I think that's something that's extremely important and critical in how we carry ourselves outside of here. But we'll have those conversations, and I'll have meetings with coaches, and we'll go from there.
That was Mike Vrabel, and I asked him, I said, do you factor in the fact that the NFL could put punishments down on Todd Downing next season for the DUI? And Vrabel said, we all have to be responsible for our actions. We'll have those discussions, and we'll go from there. And they fired Todd Downing a couple hours later. I do wonder, and this is where I'm disappointed with myself at the press conference today. The Titans never won a game after Todd Downing's DUI, regardless of whether or not that had anything to do with their 7-game losing streak. The reality is they were 7-3 and on top of the world after beating the Green Bay Packers. I was at Lambeau Field. And I remember walking out of that stadium, Traylon Burks had started to come alive, Chigga Conquo was playing well, Derrick Henry was running the ball. I walked out of that stadium and I was like, bring on the Chiefs, bring on the Bills, bring on Cincinnati, bring on the Ravens, let's go. And they never won a game after that. The next day, I'm literally running in the Chicago airport with TD. And we end up not getting to our flight because the plane had to de-ice in Appleton, Wisconsin. And as we stop running, I look at TD and I look at my phone and I see that Todd Downing got busted for a DUI. And I said to TD, we got another item to deal with. And the team never won again. And I wanted to ask Vrabel, and I didn't today. I wanted to ask Vrabel if he thought that, not if he thought that Todd Downing's DUI had anything to do with the 7-game losing streak, but why the team never won a game after Todd Downing's DUI. And regardless of if it mattered or didn't matter, there's no way to prove it. But they never won after that DUI. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. Millie is up next on Todd Downing. What you got, Millie?
Hey, Jared. So pretty much my biggest issue with Todd Downing is I heard a few press conferences after the game where pretty much everybody was saying it's the players that play the game and all that good stuff. And then I heard a few radio talk shows state that he pretty much never took accountability for any of his play calling issues or any mishaps in the game. He pretty much always said that we executed in practice, so I expect us to go in the game and execute it. Well, you can't execute an excuse for the 7-game losing streak, and I just personally feel like it was way past overdue, man. And I'll leave it at that. Thank
you for your call. I thought that Todd Downing was going to be the sacrificial lamb for the regression of the offense in 2021. And there were plenty of excuses to be made. The offensive line wasn't very good. Now, it wasn't as bad as the line was this year, but the line wasn't very good. Julio Jones and A.J. Brown were hurt all the time. Tannehill stunk it up. And so there were all these different – Derrick Henry got hurt. So there were all these different excuses that you could have had. But I thought it would have been easier to just fire the coordinator and say, hey, it was his fault, and then move forward with everybody else. Vrabel was not willing to do that. As far as accountability is concerned, I don't think Todd Downing had a lot of accountability. I thought he did a great job of taking the blame for the first one against the Giants when he ran that stupid sweep play with Chigakonkwo. But as far as accountability is concerned, I didn't think he was very accountable. I do think it's not completely his fault that they have the 30th ranked offense in the NFL. He didn't trade A.J. Brown. But at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are. And he inherited the second ranked offense in the NFL, and they're currently 30th. And you cannot survive in the NFL doing that. If you're a head coach, this is why I always laugh at the idea about rebuilding. You know, if Mike Vrabel gets a say in it, they're not going to rebuild. Because if you're a coach and you decide to tear it down, you don't get to coach the team at the other end of that. Because no matter what the circumstances are, you will somehow be viewed as responsible for losing. And they don't want to do that. So regardless of the circumstances, Todd Downing is the coordinator and calling the plays of the 30th ranked offense in the NFL. That's not good enough. They scored 17 points a game. Teresa Walker asked Vrabel a question today at the podium. I didn't even know this. 34 points in the fourth quarter. Like, I still don't even know if that stat's true. But how the hell do you score 34 points in the fourth quarter across 17 games? How do you do that? 34 divided by 17. That's 2 points a game. 2 points a game in the fourth quarter. Holy crap, how does that happen? I have no idea. Matt is up next on Craig Aukerman. Thank you for calling. Go ahead, Matty.
Hey, Jared. Yes, sir. I was just curious. So do you think now that Downing's been fired, do you think that Craig Aukerman's probably the next guy to get fired? And then also, I mean, maybe you touched on this earlier. Do you think if, like, they had fired Downing instead of Robinson earlier in the year, we would have had a different outcome? Thank you.
I appreciate the call. Thank you, Matt. I can't tell you if I think, if they would have fired Downing instead of Aukerman, instead of Robinson, what that would have done. That I can't tell you. I do think that if they had kept John Robinson through the end of the year, they would be playing football this weekend. Would they be playing football past this weekend? I don't know. But I don't think they would have lost 7 games in a row. I think they would have beaten Jacksonville here at home. And I'm sure the Titans will dispute that. I'm sure they'll say, just like they said after they got their rear end spanked by the Jags, they said that had nothing to do with it. Even though they went in there with a much worse team on the road at Jacksonville and played much better when they didn't have to worry about firing their general manager that week. So that I can't tell you about. The Aukerman thing, that I cannot get over. To answer your question, I do not think Aukerman is next. I think Aukerman is safe. And I think that's bull crap. I think that man needs to be fired. I think everybody, except for the people at that building, think that he needs to be fired. I mean, I'm dead serious. Ian, if you had a call in this, if you own the team, would you fire Craig Aukerman?
If I owned the team,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to have some type of input, but I'd probably lean that way. Yeah, I'm not really sure what time of. It's not like the special teams are great. It's not like if you can fire him, all of a sudden you're losing some type of awesome special teams unit.
Thank you. And yet, every year, they just keep running out the same crap. They just keep running out Cam Batson at punt returner, who fields a punt and takes a step back and takes a knee in the end zone for a safety. And the same special teams that missed a kick against the Giants and cost you that game, and the same special teams where Mike Vrabel went on his coach's TV show, and he said last week, no matter what happens, we cannot let Agnew have a big return, no matter what. And Agnew had a huge return, and it gave Jacksonville all the momentum in a game in which you were playing with a backup quarterback, and you knew that you were not going to be able to win without excelling in the margins. And instead, you score a touchdown and go up 10-0. 10-0. You're up 10-0 with a backup quarterback on the road in a gotta-have-it game. And on the ensuing kickoff, Jamal Agnew goes 54 freaking yards. 54 yards. They have the ball at the 50. Jacksonville scores. Now it's 10-7. And to answer the caller's question, when the Titans today came out and said, Downing, Carter, Midget, and Frazier, and I don't even know what that guy does. I don't even know what that guy looks like. When they said that, to me, I think that meant that everybody else was safe. And so we will be stuck. We will be stuck with Craig Aukerman, it feels like, for another season. He must have pictures. When I say to Ian, and I say, like, if you were ownership, would you fire Craig Aukerman? Like, if you had a call, would you go to Vrabel and be like, enough. I'm not doing this Jamal Agnew 54-yard return. Not doing it. And Ian says yes, and everybody else says yes. I do wonder. I wonder if ownership is, like, they must love Aukerman, and they're the ones that are like, no, can't fire Craigie because he's our guy. But, God, I think we're stuck with Aukerman for another season. And I hate to say it because his special teams unit is terrible. And they never get any better. They never. When's the last time the Titans had a punt return for a touchdown? When's the last time the Titans blocked a punt? When's the last time the Titans did something on special teams that didn't make you put your head in your hands and say, why?
Has it really been since that Chiefs situation?
I think they played Indianapolis.
Field goal block?
So 2019 Thanksgiving, they played Indianapolis, and Dane Cruikshank blocked a kick, and I want to say Josh Kalu ran it back for a touchdown. Or maybe Kalu blocked it and Cruikshank ran it back. That's how long it's been. Please fire Craig Aukerman next. 615-737-1025. We're right back to your phones, I promise, after we recap all the news of the day from the Titans. We'll do that next. Stillman and Company, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
You watch the game.
Juju makes a huge play.
We talk the game.
The college football playoff rankings, Tennessee, the #1 team in the country.
We are the game. Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Time for the Preds Report.
Presented by Newton Nissan.
Max Hers in Ottawa with your Preds Report on this Monday. The Predators are 2-0 to start a 5-game road trip after a 3-2 win over the Washington Capitals on Friday night in D.C. Ryan McDonough scored the game winner for his first goal as a Pred late in the third period. Duchesne to Johansson into the O-zone. Pass in front. Backhand shot and a goal for Ryan McDonough. His first goal in gold makes it 3-2 Preds with 3:16 left in the third. Predators are now 2-0 to start the 5-game trip, which shifts to Canada starting tonight. Puck drop at 6:30 against the Ottawa Senators as the Preds look to continue the perfect road trip that is 2-0 so far. Pre-game coverage starts at 5:30. Then Hal Gill and I will have the call at 6:30 Nashville time from Ottawa on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
All the best car deals in Smashville start at Newton Nissan. Visit them at Newton Nissan of Gallatin or Newton Nissan South in Shelbyville.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Hey, Robbie Stanley here, and NFL Wildcard Weekend is here, and the easiest way to get into the playoffs is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers join today to get started with $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. All you have to do is sign up with promo code ROB. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. I like the Bengals, Joe Burrow and company, to take down the Ravens on Wildcard Weekend, but you can take it any way you want to take it, all on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, with promo code ROB. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
312 Pizza Company is a family-owned restaurant located in the heart of Germantown, serving up authentic Chicago-style eats right here in Nashville. 312 Pizza Company only uses the best all-natural ingredients and makes everything in-house from scratch every single day. And trust me, you can taste the difference. They've got deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, their Italian beef. You'll taste the freshness. Stop in for a pint of local beer and a slice of pizza, or order online at 312pizzaco.com. 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Your Game Center Update.
This Game Center Update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. The Tennessee Titans saw their season come to an end on Saturday night after a 20-16 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Titans finished the season with a 7-10 record, following 7 straight losses to conclude their campaign. The long off-season process for the team now begins. Head coach Mike Vrabel on the next steps for the team.
There'll be conversations here in the short term about the general manager and where that goes. And then that person and I will have conversations. We'll have conversations with Amy, about the extent of the change that we have. I don't think that that's something that is going to happen necessarily overnight, but there's going to be, change.
And the Titans announced this afternoon that they have fired offensive coordinator Todd Downing. The Nashville Predators are looking to build off 3 wins in a row as they are back in action tonight in Ottawa to take on the Sens. We will have pregame coverage at 5:30 with puck drop at 6:30 right here on the Preds Radio Network. And the College Football National Championship game between Georgia and TCU is tonight. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock on 94.9 The Fan. This update is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry. I'm Ian Safar for 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game or visit theGameNashville.com. Tonight, your Nashville Predators continue their road trip against the Ottawa Senators. Coverage begins at 5:30 on your home for Smashville. WPRT FM Pegram, WBUC HD2 Laverne, 1025 and 1063 The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Where you have a voice.
He had a competent coaching staff. You just play terrible and you keep playing.
And we have strong opinions.
What a whiny freaking crybaby response.
This is Stillman and Company with Jared Stillman. Presented by TriStar Moving on Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Stillman and Company is delivered by TriStar Moving, 1025 1063 The Game, streaming live on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Thanks to the law offices of Amanda J. Gentry, live from the Hiller. They're presented by Superbook Sports. I love Superbook Sports. Sorry about that. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. So a wild Black Monday for the Tennessee Titans. And this is really the first real Black Monday that we have had since 2016 when they were the worst team in the NFL. And they'd already fired their coach, and so they fired Rustin Webster, the general manager, on Black Monday, and off they went, Malarkey and Robinson, and they really haven't had an eventful Black Monday since. They made the playoffs in 2017, and then they fired Malarkey right after that, but that was well after Black Monday because they won a playoff game. So here's just kind of the highlights from today. Number one, Amy Adams Strunk, who does not do real interviews. Amy Adams Strunk sat down with the team's website and used the word collaborative 5 times when talking about the hiring of the next general manager. Ian Rappaport has reported, NFL Network, that the Titans plan to interview Bill's senior personnel, senior director, something or another, Malik Boyd. They plan to interview Glenn Cook of the Browns, Ian Cunningham of the Bears, Ryan Cowden and Monty Ossenfort, who are currently with the Titans, Adam Peters of the 49ers, and Rand Carthon of the 49ers. So that's the GM front. And again, the collaboration is a word she kept using over and over again. And the big thing from her sit-down interview was that she said that both the GM and the head coach would report to her. Now, that's the news of it. The reality of it is that never works. Somebody needs to have the final say, but that's a different discussion for a different day. Secondly, the Titans announced an hour ago, Todd Downing is out as the offensive coordinator. Keith Carter is out as the offensive line coach. Anthony Midget is out as the secondary coach, and Eric Frazier is out as an offensive assistant as well. And then Mike Vrabel at his press conference today, as non-committal as you could be about major topics, including first, could we see the team take the path of a rebuild?
The organization would go the path of rebuilding from the bottom up as opposed to running it back with the group that you guys have had over the last couple of years with changes.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a number of things that you could do. We could, there's a lot of that's those questions that you ask every year. As you construct a roster, as you do a lot of different things, and our goals will never change. Our goal is to have a championship football team. Have fallen short, of that, but we still know what wins. We still know, and we're going to win. But again, there's decisions that will be made throughout the off season, and starting with, free agency, guys that we identify, trying to get somebody hired and looking at where we are with the salary cap and all those things that everybody's concerned about.
Are you going to rebuild? He didn't say no. Secondly, is the identity of the team has been Derrick Henry for really the entire Vrabel era. Are you still going to be identified by Derrick Henry?
Henry-centric on offense during your time, Mike, and been a lot of success. Going forward, do you still envision that being kind of the main theme, or do you see it veering off at all in the future?
We'll have to see where things go in the offseason and see where we think is best for the football team and the identity of the football team and where everybody is and what those plans are. So I can't really answer things that are a few months away in the direction, but confident that we're going to be aligned. That the organization starts with alignment from Amy, to with myself, the general manager, the coaching staff, the players. That's what's important in the offseason is making sure that those things are in place.
So he just starts talking about something that has nothing to do with the question. Again, asked if they're going to still be Derrick-centric. We'll see, which is not a yes. And then Ryan Tannehill. Is he the starter next year?
So you don't feel comfortable right now committing to Ryan as the starter for next year?
Well, I mean, he's our starting quarterback. If he was healthy, he's our starting quarterback. You know what I mean? So that's all I can tell you. And right now, there's a lot of guys that aren't healthy and that didn't finish the game. I mean, I think we're going to talk a lot of hypotheticals 2 days after our last game. So, happy to talk a lot about things that I can answer, but I can't answer things that, are in the future.
He has a sprained ankle. I have no idea if he'll ever be able to walk again. Don't ask me about that. But he did say if he was healthy, he's our starting quarterback. But he didn't say if he is healthy, he's our starting quarterback. So I think Vrabel was trying to walk the tightrope on that one. 615-737-1025. Phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. LaMarcus has been waiting very patiently and is up next on the offensive coordinator. Go ahead, LaMarcus.
Hey, Jared. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Love the show.
Thank you.
So my question is, a caller called in earlier today, and he brought up the name Brian Johnson, the Eagles quarterback coach. And you immediately said, well, he doesn't know the system. So my question is it not time for a new identity? Is it not time for something new? I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you. I'm not saying that running a different system is a bad idea. I'm just telling you I don't think Mike Vrabel's going to do it. I mean, I'm just telling you, I do not think Mike Vrabel's going to do it. The way that I would compare this to radio, because I actually had a coach last week tell me a story about a head coach talking about wanting to run a different offense and would say, like, that would be like asking you to do your radio show in French. And I'm like, that's not really it. But this would be like if you were to ask me to host a radio program that is more team-friendly, more guests, less callers. Like, that's not really what we do here. What we do is we don't have a lot of guests. The guests that we have are the people that we know. And we have the same people on all the time because that's who we want to talk to. But, like, we're not booking some guy out in Denver to talk about the Broncos because I just don't think enough people care. But other people do that because that's their style. And it works for some people. I don't think it works for a lot of people. I think my style works. And, you know, as long as I'm doing radio, we're going to have to do my style because that's what I am. And it'd be very hard for me to change. That's how I think Vrabel feels about the offensive system. So I think the Shanahan system that worked under Arthur Smith, that didn't work under Matt LaFleur, and didn't work under Todd Downing, I think that's the path they're going to go. And you can learn another system as a coordinator, but you can't walk in and say, this is my system, this is what we're using. Lance is up next on the offensive line. Thank you for calling. Thank you for waiting. What's up, Lance?
How you doing, Jared?
Good.
Well, my question is, of the offensive linemen that are left, who will be on the team next year, and how do we replace where we have a decent offensive line to get us where we need to go?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you for your call because that's a very important question about the offensive line. A very important question. Right now, I think the Titans have one starter for next season under contract on the offensive line, and that's Ben Jones. And I don't know if Ben Jones is going to continue to play football. When you're that old and you're that hurt and you suffer 2 concussions in 3 weeks, it's hard for me to think that you're going to continue to play football, but that's his decision, not mine. Other than that, Taylor Lewan, I guess, is technically under contract, but at this point in his career, he's not a starter anymore because you can't rely on him, and he's going to be cut. So they have a hole at left tackle. They have a hole at left guard because Aaron Brewer is not a starter. He's too skinny. Sorry, gain some weight.
He was getting dominated in the run game last night.
Oh,
the
Peters?
other night. Peters
Corey
was
Peters
all over him. Yeah.
And it's simple math. He's 330 pounds, and Brewer's 276 pounds. You can't, doesn't work. They've got Jones at center. Nate Davis at right guard is a free agent. I would not franchise tag him, but I would think about transitioning him. That's a different discussion for a different day. And Nicholas Petit-Ferrer played right tackle last year, but he sucks, and I do not think, honestly, I don't think he's got the bulldog in him to be a good tackle. I am out on PT. I am not a Nicholas Petit-Ferrer guy. So they've got 5 spots. Now, maybe they could fudge it with Petit-Ferrer. So then you could say, okay, they got to get 3 new linemen. We still don't know about Ben Jones. Here's what's crazy. I thought Nate Davis actually had a bad season last year. I think the best offensive line play at the guard position for the Titans happened on Saturday. Jordan Roos, number 70. I think that's the best guard play I've seen out of the Titans all year, which tells you how bad it is. But they had a similar problem when Rustin Webster got fired and John Robinson came in and immediately brought in a right tackle, Jack Conklin. They had a left tackle, Taylor Lewan, signed Ben Jones at center, and Chance Warmack got hurt really early that season. And so they had Josh Klein, who they claimed off of waivers. And with a good offensive line coach in Russ Grimm, they were able to have a good line and a good season. I think the line can be salvaged. Not with this group, but I think they'll be able to figure it out. Tyrekus is up next. Thank you for calling the program. What you got, Tyrekus?
Yo, man, this is my question. What's up, by the way, man? So since 1999, we run the ball on first down, run the ball on second down, throw the ball to a tight end on third down. It's been like that since 1999, and I don't understand why y'all.
You do know that they had. You do know that they won the MVP at quarterback in 2003.
And exactly in 2003.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Yeah. See, they keep trying to rebuild the 1999 Titans, man. We need to go a different way, and it's just facts, man. You watch TV, and you can tell they don't even want us in the playoffs. They don't want to see the Titans in the playoffs, man. It's just to a point that you got to go get somebody that's going to change this all the way around, man. And I just want to know what you think about that, man, because we need to get with the ages, and that's just facts.
Are you talking about coordinator or are you talking about quarterback? Because those are two totally different things. And here's my thing. The Shanahan system that the Titans run is the same system that Arthur Smith had ranked number 2 in the NFL 2 seasons ago. It's the same system that Sean McVay uses in Los Angeles that won the Super Bowl last year. It's the same system that Joe Burrow plays in with Cincinnati. It's the same system that Brock Purdy has lit it up with the 49ers. It's the same system. So when you tell me, hey, this system, it's that 1999 offense, no. It's the fact that your team has the best running back in football and they want to run it. And it has worked. Now, do they need to be better at quarterback? Absolutely. Do they need to be better at receiver? Oh, my God, yes. And I'm worried about Burks. I don't know about you guys. I think Burks is soft. Those 2 contested catches he didn't make on Saturday, and those are some biggies. That's some soft stuff out there. That is some Charmin-level receiving out of Treylon Burks. That's embarrassing that Treylon Burks put that performance out there on Saturday night. So they got to figure out that for sure. But, I mean, the idea of, they're trying to run and ground pound, it's not Larry Zonka, I promise you. It's the same system that San Francisco runs. It's the same system the Rams run. It's the same system Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay run. And guess what all those teams do? They all run the ball. Every last one of them runs the ball. By the way, Chase texts in and says, starting tomorrow, I'll need you to have 4 guests per show. Please check in with Denver and see what they have going on.
Put me to work, huh?
We'll have to check in with Denver. See what's going down in Denver. That I couldn't tell you about. Quickly, I'm going to squeeze Biggie, and thank you for calling. What's up, Biggie?
Hey, good afternoon. Enjoying the show.
Thank you.
Judd, I usually disagree with you, but I will have to say that you are spot on when it comes to the whole issue with the system. There's nothing wrong with this system. You pointed out what they did 2 years ago. It's really all about getting a better offensive line. As long as you've got Derrick Henry, you should be able to run the ball. If you've got a decent offensive line, they don't have to be great. And if you've got Derrick Henry and you've got a good offensive coordinator, you should be able to throw the ball.
Let me say this. Good call, Biggie. That Jonnu Smith signed for a bunch of money out of this system, and he's not doing anything. Corey Davis signed for a bunch of money out of this system. He's not doing anything. Sometimes the coordinator, the guy who's actually scheming it up, that does matter. We got some good news to share, and we will do that coming up. Stillman and Company right here, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The college football season never stops. ESPN college football analyst Trevor Manich joins Stillman and Company every Tuesday at 4:30.
They've got to do what Nick Saban in Alabama has done so successfully over the last 10 years.
Presented by Houston Clinic Orthopedics on Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The Electronic Express New Year's blowout sale is going on now. Come into any of our convenient locations for the guaranteed lowest prices on all of your favorite brands like Samsung, LG, Apple, KitchenAid, Sony, and more. Electronic Express has huge savings in every department. 4K TVs, computers, appliances, housewares, gaming, and more. Save up to 40% with up to 36 months free financing. Shop great deals in-store or online at electronicexpress.com. Electronic Express, we make it happen.
Hey guys, it's the new year. We popped the champagne, kissed at midnight, and it's time to make a new start. But if you aren't popping like you used to because of erectile dysfunction or low testosterone, maybe your new start should be making a call to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. You see, ED is just a medical condition affecting men of all ages. But the good news is that ED is highly treatable. In fact, the medical experts at the Tennessee Men's Clinic have successfully treated thousands of men, with ED treatments having success rates as high as 90%. And with a variety of ED treatment options, including acoustic wave therapy, they can likely find the right one for you. too. You might even find your cork is popping like it hasn't in years. Plus, their low T treatments are highly effective. So many men have experienced life-changing results, from increased energy to more productive workouts, feeling more rested, and enjoying a greater sex drive too. So make 2023 the year you get free of ED and low T. Make an appointment. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a more comprehensive approach, including a testosterone lab panel and a medical consult. Call 615-208-9090 or go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Visit our website to learn more, including side effects. Treatment sex chart results vary.
The Hoop Collective Podcast.
I'm at our ESPN LA studios. You may remember that Bev did a couple of days of work for ESPN last year.
Oh, I remember. I was on with him.
He left a gorgeous Dolce & Gabbana suit here that is just spectacular.
You should wear it on TV today, Brian.
I do not believe it will fit me, only because the arms are too long. You're across the street. Come over and get it. It's got to be at least a $7,000 suit.
The Hoop Collective Podcast. Listen on the ESPN app or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello there. My name is Seychelle, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is the punch of flavors that's unlike any other. You get the crispy tenderness of the chicken and that hint of sourness from the pickles. Ta-da!
Hey, I'm Juan, and what makes the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich original to me is you're going to get chicken that's crispy, golden, and juicy. This is the gold standard of chicken sandwiches.
Order the original Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
TSU basketball lives on 102.1 The Ville. Join Coach Brian Penny Collins and the Tigers for every great moment in the OVC. On your home for TSU basketball, 102.1 The Ville and the Ville app. Strong opinions and a strong personality on your drive home. This is Stillman and Company, presented by TriStar Moving on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's Hockey Night in Smashville.
Deflects back for Duchesne. His shot stopped and the score!
What are the keys to victory tonight? What's being said in the locker room? Where do the Preds reside in the Central Division standings? Jared Stillman has the latest now. With Preds Game Day on Stillman and Company. This is Smashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Predators Game Day is presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. Buying or selling or even thinking about buying or selling? Talk to TJ. He's my realtor. TJ has sold 2 homes for me and done even more for my friends. I truly have no hesitation in referring them to him and his wonderful staff. TJAndersonHomes.com has great tools like home reports. So if you're selling your home, TJ gets you done. Reports on value and equity and suggestions on what you can do, and instant notifications that you sign up and they get sent directly to your inbox, and I do get those. If you're looking to sell your property free and clear, ask TJ how he's having success marketing those properties. That's TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty, TJAndersonHomes.com. Predators tonight on the road at Ottawa, where they are taking on the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Senators do stink. They come into this game at 18-18-3, good for 39 points. The Predators 18-14-6, that's good for 42. Now, I said we had some good news, and we, in fact, do. Pete Weber went in this morning at Vanderbilt for brain surgery. I know that probably scares a lot of people, but he's suffering from hydrocephalus, which is a very common. And the procedure that was done today at Vanderbilt is a very common procedure. And I was told today that Pete Weber went through the surgery and that Pete came out the surgery and Pete should be doing fine. And we cannot wait to see Pete Weber back at Bridgestone Arena. I know I consider Pete a very good friend. I know a lot of you all love listening to Pete Weber, so it is great to hear that. And that is our coach's take today here on the program. Coach John Hines on the latest with Pete Weber.
Well, I'm really thankful that he had a procedure that obviously is going to help him get better, and the fact that he's fine and it was successful, it's great. I mean, he's such a great guy, pleasure to work with. He bleeds gold and blue, and hope him to a quick recovery, and looking forward to getting back working with him again soon.
I mean, I thought that was really classy of Coach Hines to say about Pete Weber. Again, the Predators put up an article about what Pete's been going through. That's why all of a sudden there were all these games where Chase is doing the pregame and Max was going on the road, but Pete was doing the home games, and people would ask, where's Pete? What's up with Pete? And it wasn't my business to share. by any stretch of the imagination. But Pete Weber and Claudia Weber, those are some really good people. And so to hear that Pete came out of his procedure today and is doing well, and hopefully we will see him back on the microphone at Bridgestone Arena and on the road with the Predators very soon. And I also want to take this 1 second in this to say that it's not lost on me. I'll be driving around listening to the game a lot, and every time Max comes back from a commercial break, Max always says, Max Hers in for Pete Weber. And I think that is the sign of respect that Max has for Pete. And I think Max has done a tremendous job. So we're rooting on Pete, and everything sounded good. Taking a look at the standings. Now, I've said this about the Predators. The Predators right now are currently only, and they've got games in hand, they are only 3 points behind Edmonton for the last wild card spot. Look, I don't want the Predators, and this is my final take presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty. I don't want the Predators to be the last wild card team into the playoffs, make it, and then get freaking spanked by whoever it would be that they play. Vegas. I don't know. But the Predators have spent all year saying, oh, we promise we'll be better. We promise we'll be better. And I have been very skeptical of that. And at least over the last couple of weeks, they have won those games now. I did not expect them to go beat the Carolina Hurricanes. And they did. I did not expect them to beat the Washington Capitals. And they did, both in regulation. They got outshot by 52, but they still won. They found a way to win. So maybe they are turning it around. Again, I'm still skeptical, but they've been saying this is what's coming, and they have been winning. And if they're going to continue to do that, they better continue to do it tonight against an Ottawa team that's not very good. So if we're Chase has the pregame. Max has the call. We'll see you all tomorrow at 2.